Prologue, Fireflies. An oversized manila envelope lay on my desk when I arrived at the production office of Cruising, the film I was directing in New York. I opened the envelope and pulled out acrylic and spray-painted works on paper, collages of faces and bodies with scrawled words and splashes of color in the style of graffiti. I found them amusing, but not to my taste. A handwritten note accompanied them telling me how much the young artist Jean-Michel Basquiat admired my films and how pleased he would be if I would accept these early works as a gift. I threw them in the wastebasket and never acknowledged this note. A few years ago, a Basquiat painting from that period sold at auction for $14 million. At about the same time, a demo recording was sent to me that contained rhythmic soul disco tracks behind a high falsetto voice. The music was original, but not something I appreciated. There was a handwritten note from a young recording artist, Prince, wondering if I'd consider doing a music video of one of his songs for the fledgling network called MTV. I didn't respond. I passed up an ownership stake in Mike Tyson when he was first discovered by Cus D'Amato. I declined 1/3 ownership of the Boston Celtics and the opportunity to be one of the producers of Star Wars. There were films I directed that I shouldn't have, and others passed on that were successful. I've burned bridges and relationships to the point that I consider myself lucky to still be around. I never played by the rules, often to my own detriment. I've been rude, exercised bad judgment, squandered most of the gifts of God gave me, and treated the love and friendship of others as I did Basquiat's art and Prince's music. When you are immune to the feelings of others, can you be a good father, a good husband, a good friend? Do I have regrets? You bet. Not long ago, I was interviewed by 2 foreign journalists at a restaurant near Beverly Hills about my new film Killer Joe, which had just been shown at the Venice and Toronto film festivals. We were talking about filmmakers who changed the course of cinema forever. D.W. Griffith with Birth of a Nation, Orson Welles with Citizen Kane, and Jean-Luc Godard with Breathless. Their work had a lasting impact on all filmmaking that followed, including my own. The interviewers asked me how I felt about the films being made today. At that point, 2 young women came to our table. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and they were the only customers in the restaurant. They apologized for interrupting, but they'd overheard our conversation and just wanted to tell us why they go to the movies. They don't want to wallow in depravity or violence. They want to come away feeling joyful and happy. Fair enough. I asked them what films they had recently seen that qualified. Bridesmaids, they agreed. Also The Help. I had seen neither, but I knew they were popular. Have you ever heard of Jean-Luc Godard, I asked. They seemed puzzled. What about Federico Fellini? Yes, they'd heard of him. Can you name a film he made? They couldn't. What about Orson Welles? Of course they'd heard of Orson Welles. Can you name a film of his that you've seen? Oh, Rosebud, the blonde said proudly. What do you remember about it, I asked. A sled. Have you seen The Exorcist? Of course, they blurted out. Did you enjoy it? Did it leave you with a feeling of joy and happiness? Yes, the brunette said emphatically. Why? Because it made me think, the brunette said. So a film that makes you think is important too, I suggested. Well, yes, said the blonde. I was curious. What did The Exorcist make you think about? The devil, said the brunette. It made me think there's a devil, she continued. Not precisely what I had in mind when I made the film. The journalists were eating it up. They had it all on tape. It would provide great color for their pieces. More than likely, these women wouldn't see Killer Joe, an edgy black comedy with full frontal nudity and violence. Not the kind of movie that has you leaving the theater filled with joy or happiness. It takes talent, imagination, and a feeling for the zeitgeist to find a subject that touches a nerve. what I still want from a film, or a play, a painting, a novel, a piece of music, is exhilaration. I want to be moved and surprised at some revelation about the human condition. I think about the love affair I've had with cinema. Images or fragments pop into my consciousness like fireflies. When I'm able to capture their brief flash, they illuminate a dark corner of memory. In 45 years, I've directed only 19 films, though I've developed or tried to make far more. I've also directed hundreds of television shows, live and on film. I've directed a handful of plays and dozen operas or so far. Some of my films are well known, others are forgotten, lost on the roller coaster that is Hollywood, where dizzying heights are followed by gut-wrenching depths. After I finish a film, deliver the prints to the distributor, and do interviews in several countries, the parade's gone by, and it's back to real life. The spotlights go off, there are no more autograph seekers, and all that's left is exhaustion and the thought of what's next. Or could this be it? The idea of quitting never occurred to me, but there were times when I sensed the man was at the door, ready to collect the furniture and the keys to the house. From their beginning, the movie has developed as an entertainment medium, and its objective has remained profit. A director gets to make a film only because a studio executive or a financier thinks it could make money. It's almost impossible to choose a project with no eye to the marketplace. Ingmar Bergman, Fellini, Godard, and Akira Kurosawa had to sell tickets. And when their films stopped working at the box office, they couldn't get them made. You can have shelves of trophies and citations, appear on countless critics' lists, be honored at film festivals all over the world, but you still have to take a meeting with a young studio executive who's never produced, written, or directed, and sell yourself all over again. I have fewer meetings these days, and often the executive just wants to tell me how much my films have influenced him. I smile, thank him, and leave to get back on the roller coaster. Let me share the ride with you and illuminate, with the help of the fireflies, how my films were conceptualized, shot, edited, and marketed, and how I came to direct operas without ever having seen one. Life is lived forward, but can only be understood backward. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the first chapter, the prologue of the Friedkin Connection, a memoir by the director William Friedkin. Good evening. This is Fabricio Barral with my co-host Isaac Carlson, and you are listening to Background Noise. I think that was a good introduction. Yeah. I don't know about you.
Do you want to rationalize its relevance?
What are you talking about?
Well, we're watching contextualize.
We're watching The Exorcist.
What they're watching, right?
We're watching The Exorcist. Not just any version, though. We were watching the extended
cut, right?
Now, I don't know if you know the difference between the two.
I don't
Friedkin talks about it in interviews and in the book. He made the theatrical version of The Exorcist, and the reason why it's called the extended cut and not the director's cut is because it's not a director's cut. Because the version made for theaters is the director's cut. He was happy with the version that was shown in theaters. It was the writer of the novel who also helped write the screenplay, William Peter Blatty, who had certain scenes he had written that he wanted to include in the. I'm still talking like Friedkin a little bit.
Yeah, you're stuck in the voice.
Damn it! There were certain scenes he wanted to include, but eventually they were taken out. But over the course of several decades, he kept pestering Friedkin to put them back in, until eventually, around 2001 or something like that, he finally relented and decided, okay, we'll release a new version of it on Blu-ray or DVD or something like that with your added scenes.
Sure, and the added benefit of that being
just
more money.
More money, and it's the version that Blatty always wanted.
Gets to continue making movies.
Yes. And that's the version we're watching. I've seen both versions.
I am curious why you chose
the extended cut?
The version preferred by the
writer,
author as opposed to the version preferred by the director you've just quoted.
Well, the director says himself, it's not that this version is worse. It's just as good. It just isn't the version he made for the theater. So I thought... there were certain scenes when I watched the first time I saw The Exorcist. I had gone in expecting certain scenes.
Because you'd read the book?
No, because it was a zeitgeist. It's in the cultural osmosis kind of thing, where we know The Exorcist without ever having actually seen it.
Sure.
And so there were certain scenes I expected to occur that did not. And then, after watching it, I realized there's an extended cut. Okay. And those scenes were in the extended cut.
You didn't feel like there's anything here missing that you wish had been here? Or you feel is lacking in the extended cut? The extended cut covered all the bases you felt were missing in the...
I don't think anything's missing from the theatrical cut. There were certain things that I thought were missing because I had a memory of a movie I had never seen before. And those memories came from a cut I had not seen before. Okay. It's very strange to describe, but it does happen, I think, to people. And so, for example, in this version, there's a spider walk scene. Okay. Do you know what I'm referring to?
I haven't seen this version, so no.
But do you have an image of your head of the girl?
Bent over backwards, crawling.
That's not in the original version. Okay. That's in this version. But I had not realized that. I had somehow just known about that scene, and it's in this version.
Again, it seems curious to me that the writer would be the one who would want that included. That seems more of like a jump scare sort of an element rather than something that like the typical writer stereotype where they're like, what this shows about the introspective nature of the themes. It's interesting that something that's so much of a spectacle, something that was preferred by the writer as opposed to the director.
On a practical level, this one's also longer, so that'll give us more time to talk about things. That was another reason. I
assumed with extended cut, yeah.
It's not that much longer, though. This version's about 2 hours and 11 minutes. The original version, I think, is under 2 hours. Okay. Which is kind of amazing to think. It's that's something I admire about Friedkin. He doesn't, he cuts his films to the bone, I think. I don't think he leaves anything in that he feels doesn't need to be in there. Mm-hmm. But I'm reading the book right now. The reason why we picked this movie, or I picked it in the first place. One of these days I'll let you pick one. One of these days I'll let you pick one. But the reason I picked this one, people are going to think I'm full of shit, as I mentioned last week, because the past 3 weeks we've been watching movies that are Halloween films, or films that are horror films.
Spooky movies.
But every time it has not been for anything related to that. The first time for Halloween it was because it was a way to segue into our time at Columbia. Last week, my intention with The Shining was to discuss It, which I did by myself. Right. So I don't want to hear what you have to say about that movie.
Stephen King adaptations in general.
Stephen King adaptations in general. It was rough. Like I said, I don't think anyone should listen to it.
I have no intention.
And in reality, there's only one person I think who actually actively watches our show, which is Tommy.
Tommy Mitchell. Which reminds, I don't know if you.
He sent me a text. He sent me. Oh no, well, I'm going to bring that up. Don't worry. He sent me a text, however, after the last episode.
The second episode,
a couple days after it was posted, or a day after it posted, where he said, "Man, that was rough."
Did he miss my input?
Did he miss your?
Yes, my presence.
I think he just thought it probably Isaac needed to be there,
so that you have someone to bounce off.
Yeah, it was rough, especially near the end where I was just tired. Yeah, and there were long pauses.
It's a long time to talk.
I think I could, if I had actually planned it out better, I probably could have done it. But I was on last minute.
I hope you had some glasses of water with you.
No, I didn't.
All right, then you were really screwed.
Yeah. Also, speaking of Tommy, who is a fan of our show. Mm-hmm. After the first episode, now this is being done. I kind of blame you for what's going on with the show because this will be posted next week on Monday. That's the plan.
Makes the most sense, yeah.
Right? Because my idea was to
every Monday.
You told me after we did the first one, you got to put this online.
Yes.
So that you would do something online that you actually have something that you. So
I stand by that.
I stand by it as well. That's why when you said we wouldn't be able to do it again together until after Monday, I said, well, fuck, I guess I'm gonna have to do it by myself if I can't get anybody else. Because something's got to come out on Monday.
You're right. We need consistency. So I applaud you for doing it on your own, even though I have no intention of listening to it.
I don't think anyone should listen to it. I think I'm like Lucas with the Star Wars Holiday Special. If I could burn the thing,
if I could get rid of it.
I mean, I don't want to on the level of I did it, and it's there for people to listen to. On the other hand, I think it's disgraceful.
Fair enough.
But now we're doing this on a Tuesday, the day after the last one came out.
You're right. So you'll have to sit on this one until Monday.
Yeah. It's going to be odd, the timing. Who knows what will happen in the next week.
But that gives us enough time to ensure that we can get another one done.
In theory.
In time.
In theory, yeah.
That gives us several days to work
Several days. Maybe we'll just do 2 tonight.
Yeah, we could.
We'll go a month ahead in advance.
Yeah, exactly.
Think, why are they talking about the Bay of Pigs invasion like it just happened?
Exactly.
Even though it's not 1964. Or 61. It was 61, I think, that happened. Anyway, I don't know. Back to Tommy.
Right.
Tommy, who's a fan of our show.
Our one loyal
fan. After we posted the first episode. Let me get it out.
Oh, do you have Oh yeah, you have his comment specifically?
Well, two things. A, I was going to give this to you last week, but here's that DVD copy of Just Married.
Important.
Since
wow, that looks terrible.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's a wonderful work of art.
Funny and original,
but
says the one quote that
you read this, I presume?
Yes.
That's good, because
we should discuss it.
Well, I want to read it.
Good. So yeah,
this will be the reading episode
of the show. To give context, we received our first piece of fan mail.
I guess you could call it that.
From Tommy Mitchell, an email. Much of it is complimentary.
Much of it is informative.
Much of it is informative. Some of it is correcting us. We've got some.
I can't wait till we start talking about the Exorcist.
We've got some corrections.
I can't wait.
Corrections that we need to make from the first episode. Some things we got wrong.
Again, I wanted to do that on the Shining episode. But
some things we just didn't get to.
This is all out of funk now. But okay, it's good that we're getting to this. Mm-hmm. On one level, I don't want to talk about it just because it was a private email. On the other hand,
just hit the highlights.
It's technically a fan mail, so I guess it counts. But the whole thing is a highlight. I read it to Alan, actually. I read it to Alan because we were together a little while ago, and he just started laughing. Because this is a really great email. I think this is, and I know for a fact Tommy's credit, anyone who doesn't know him, he writes great letters. He's really good at writing letters.
My one and only concern is that he had enough free time living in Cincinnati to not only listen to our 2.5
he listened to mine
hour-long show,
my 2 hour and 45 minute
solo show
podcast,
but also had time to write what has been printed out in, let's say, 10-point font. It's a 2-page email regarding,
let's say 1.5,
regarding just the first episode.
All right, I hope it does it again for this one or something equivalent. Obviously, I don't want to make it a habit. I don't want to force him.
If you're listening, I assume you are.
But every time
I love you. I'm worried about you, though. You need more friends. You need more things to consume your time.
Come back to Chicago.
Yeah, but keep listening to the show.
Obviously, we need someone to listen to.
Yeah, we need one person.
We need someone. If he'll listen to that episode I posted last on Monday, then he'll listen to anything. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, if he does keep doing this, we're going to make this a permanent segment on the show. Just Tommy's fan mail.
Letters from our fans,
let's
aka
start.
just Tommy.
Let's start. To the producers. Should I do it in his voice or should I just read it?
His voice.
Oh,
you've made that a thing now.
Obviously, now that I've done Friedkin, I got to.
Anytime you read somebody else's work, you have to use their voice.
I'm going to talk. Well, can I just bring up first how did I talk to you about how I think I'm like Bogdanovich?
Yes, you did.
Did we talk about that on the show?
No. You want to get into it?
No. Well, let me read this first. Anyway, okay. So in Tommy's voice, my best Tommy Mitchell voice. So forgive me, Tommy, if I make you sound horrible. To the producers, after listening to the inaugural episode of your podcast, Background Noise, I am reminded of a scene from Curb Your Enthusiasm, where Larry David shushes the patrons of an upscale bar, including Michael J. Fox, as they talk over a performance that his girlfriend is giving on the piano. It is understood by everyone, including Larry's girlfriend, that the music is only supposed to be background noise, lowercase b and n. While I generally back Larry in these small skirmishes he seems to attract on the regular, I cannot support him in his efforts to quiet this crowd. What a testament it is to both the artist and the audience to have such an understanding, to be able to perform their separate functions together, in tandem, not in contrast, but with each other, taking only what they need from the other and nothing more. Art can and should only be contextualized within the lives of the people who experience it. It should poke, prod, annoy, inspire, love, and yes, change the people that it addresses. But it should never demand such effects. That, like taste, is something for the audiences to allow. So I say, more background noise, uppercase B and N, please.
Which is very nice, because when he started with the comparison of the Larry David show, the moment with Larry David from Curb Your Enthusiasm, I was concerned that he was saying, I'm with Larry David in saying, shush you people, and just give me the movie. But he obviously went a different direction with it, and I couldn't be more grateful.
I thought when I first started reading it, I thought he was saying shush to background noise, which means shush to us, because we're called background.
What I thought,
I thought maybe it was... Also, he writes like a poet almost, but in prose.
It's beautiful.
Because, not just because of the wording, but also because everything is lowercased.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's...
limited punctuation.
It's like he thinks he's a Clifton or something like that. No, like E.E. Cummings. He thinks he's E.E. Cummings, this
that's
motherfucker.
A good comparison. I should note, too, that when you said lowercase b and n, that's not you denoting the punctuation. It is him clarifying in written word punctuation that he just showed
whether in reference to background noise the idea or background noise of the show.
Which makes me think he maybe intended this to be read out loud.
Which makes me think, or no, but again, I've read other letters he's written.
Does he denote his own punctuation?
He's something else.
All right.
You've got to read some of his other letters.
Let's carry on into the second paragraph.
But also, what is more fun than watching a horror film with a crowd of rowdy people yelling at the screen? Since I was also in this class and remember Fabricio and Isaac fondly, as if he's not talking to us directly,
Right.
I would like to share some new thoughts on the matter. So for people who remember the first episode, this will clarify some things. I was not in the class the day of the Halloween screening because I was back home for the funeral of my grandmother. Ironically, Halloween was the only movie we screened in that class that I had never seen before. To this day, I have never seen the film or the other supposedly great slasher classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Maybe that's why I'm having a terribly difficult time writing my own sorority slasher feature, which is the subject of another episode.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
We got to get him on sometime.
We'll get to it.
I love D-Chaps. I love the way he writes it, as if he's French. D-Chaps.
D-Chaps.
I love D-Chaps, and while it might be a bit of a stretch to say that he was a mentor, I can say that he is and will remain something better. A reference on my resume. Supposedly, I share the record of most number of classes taken with Dale Chapman in the history of his teaching career. A record I cherish, of course. Funnily enough, I share that record with none other than Team Rocket's very own Emily Perez.
God bless.
Or is it Perez? I never could tell.
Perez is usually how I hear it.
Well, there's no accent, so... Anyway, I could be wrong, but I believe that Emily Perez holds the record of most number of classes taken with Tommy Mitchell, which is funny, too, because MIP MIA was the only class all three of us ever had together. Amazing.
The man has a lot of insights.
I never hated Katie Kaczynski.
I don't think we ever accused him of hating Katie Kaczynski.
I don't think we did either, but we did bring up
I think we
Alan.
only ever accused Alan of hating Katie Kaczynski.
We didn't accuse him. That's what he did. He said
for the record.
He said as much.
He's very open about it. For the record, I don't hate Katie Kaczynski at all.
I got along with her. I got along with her just fine.
You tried to seduce her.
I did not, but okay. I just never understood why she was teaching MIA, pun intended. The last time I ever saw her, I was walking down Michigan with Fabricio, and she walked past us. She smiled at me, obviously remembering who I was, but not Fabricio. A block later, we were stopped dead in our tracks by the sight of a dying bat on the pavement. Coincidence?
That's very prophetic.
Scotty, to whom I never heard from or saw ever again, always struck me as a nice kid. My case rests on a table pitch that he gave to our entire class. The film was about a young man, not unlike Scotty, whose only pleasure in the face of constant nagging from his mother, father, and girlfriend was to smoke cigarettes. One by one, these characters berate him, and each time he pulls out a cigarette, a smile always comes to his face as he takes his first puff.
See, lovely. I didn't remember that.
I didn't remember until he mentioned it. One day, though, he runs out of cigarettes. Instead of going out to buy another pack, he proceeds to viciously stab his mother, father,
I do remember that.
And girlfriend multiple times.
That part I remember.
Until each character finally shuts up. In the end, a smile lights up across his bloody face.
I remember that part.
Ferris, who I always thought was named Barry. This whole paragraph is brilliant. Give me a second. This is going to be hard for me to say out loud. Has a voice which can only be described as the antithesis of Gilbert Gottfried. It's funny because it's perfect.
And it's impossible to impersonate.
He went on to direct many high-level films at Columbia. I cannot speak to their quality. I've never seen a single one. Neither have I, Tommy. Neither have I.
We saw the ones created for our class.
Sure.
Accounts. Although those would
not
not fall under high level.
But was he the director of those pieces or the writer? Or?
No.
Well, then we can't really... I don't know if we can count them.
He's not the auteur.
He's not the auteur, which... We'll talk about that, too. And interestingly, the name of the forgotten MIP classmate is very similar to the name of the antagonist in the film Fabricio and Isaac are watching, Michael Marks, which is actually very...
that is.
I can't believe we forgot him.
It's analogous.
He left Columbia after that year and took his tuition money north, perhaps rightfully so, to DePaul in order to study English. I love how he considers that, taking his money north to DePaul.
Technically, yeah.
I find that amusing. He makes it sound like he went to New England.
He went up to Canada.
He went up to Boston University.
He went for a Canadian education.
No, he essentially went like 10 city blocks.
Yeah, he went about half a mile north into Lincoln Park.
Anyway, the last I heard from him, he was advertising/selling a new type of skateboard that a friend of his had invented. But before that, I somehow ran into him on the train one day. I remember that I was on my way to see The American Friend, which is a good film, by the way, and he told me that he was going to a class. I believe we discussed the poetry of William Carlos Williams.
Why wouldn't you?
Frank O'Hara and the whole New York school for about 2 or 3 stops before I had to get off the train. That conversation was apparently transcribed by another passenger and later published in the Paris Review, The Art of Poetry number 6.
That can't be true.
No, it isn't. It's a joke.
Good.
It's obviously a joke.
We need our fact-checking team.
Isaac and Fabricio mentioned the film that Mike and I made for MIP.
And here's the correction. We were mistaken about some of the details.
But got some details wrong. The film is about a terrible guy, played by Mike, whose watch gets stolen by a mysteriously sunglassed figure, me, after he refuses to hold open an elevator door for a wonderful young man, Esley. Suleiman, SP, question mark? I don't know what that stands for, Suleiman, SP.
Maybe the start of
wrote
the last
it,
name.
But for some reason I was forced to direct. Needless to say, no one understood my vision. That was especially true with Mike. I rewatched The Watch, as we called it, sometime last year and demanded that Mike turn the negatives over to me for a recut. He never got back to me. I guess it was he, not I, that actually stole The Watch. Thank you for your time. TCM, a friend. Well, Tommy, I just want to point out certain mistakes that you pointed out yourself. In the next email you sent after that, you talk about how in the 6th paragraph you made a typo, but and the same thing in the last paragraph, but also in the penultimate paragraph you forgot a word. He told me that you forgot to put the he was going to a class, so clearly you need someone to edit your writing for you, aka Fabricio, but otherwise it was a great piece of prose poetry as far as I'm concerned.
It's beautiful.
A masterpiece.
It's interesting, actually, that he mentions that Solomon wrote but did not direct the piece. Because I don't know if you remember, for ours...
I remember.
Yeah, Solomon wrote the final film for our class that Fabricio and I were also collaborators on with Esley.
Yeah. Oh, we should have gotten some soda.
Yeah, that was a bad move.
Should have gotten some soda. Or, something.
And he directed we shot for 3 days, I think.
Yeah, it was over the course of 3 days.
For scheduling purposes.
I remember being the second-hand bitch on that
And
film.
Solomon wrote the film and directed the first day.
What was I doing in that
And then
one?
he had a commitment for the second 2 days. You were an actor and also the sound man, I believe.
No, Esley was the sound man.
Esley was the sound man.
And also
he must
did
have been
the lighting.
camera operator then.
No, I was the camera operator.
I did the lighting.
I guess everyone just shared tasks because basically we did everything that Solomon couldn't do.
Yes,
which was everything.
Well, yeah, Solomon was not able to be
on the
shoot the second or third day.
So we did the whole thing basically.
The second or third day of the film that he had written.
Most of the footage that was shot was stuff that we did without him.
Right. So I'm not sure if you can tell where the directing gap is in between the content of each day.
Well,
but,
that was Some
of it is Solomon's work, and some
final
of it is
cut of the film.
Sort of my work. Esley actually did the final cut.
Because I did the first cut, which was
was
rough.
I did the second cut, and Esley did the final cut.
Every one of us edited but him. Literally, what did he do? He wrote the damn thing.
He wrote the thing and showed up for it.
We wrote it.
But to be fair, I actually liked his writing.
Sure, yeah. Obviously, and I'm not trying to say anything to shit on Solomon. It's just that it was amazing how now apparently we have 2 separate stories of Solomon not showing up to his own film.
Solomon writes, but does not have the follow through on directing.
If we have a third story, basically we have a pattern where Solomon abandons his own
Then we can
movies.
officially call it a pattern.
Like children in Spielberg films, he abandoned his child. Speaking of Spielberg,
good segue.
Speaking of Steven Spielberg, I recently saw. Oh, I'm so good at the segues. Let me tell you. If only I did that with a Shining episode. But anyway, speaking of Steven Spielberg, I recently saw a documentary on him that's on HBO called Spielberg. Not a very good title.
Clever name.
Clever name. You know what Spielberg means actually in German?
I do not.
It's a German word which means Spiel means to play, and Berg is mountain, so it's a mountain of play, I guess.
It's a good name.
Which in many ways is exactly what Spielberg is.
That's interesting because
isn't that amazing? Because that's exactly how Spielberg is as a person. He makes very delightful, entertaining.
Yeah, he's fun.
Mountains of a movie, I'd say.
Large, fun pictures
that aren't Schindler's List.
Right. Yeah.
Depending on who you are, maybe that is a really fun movie. It's a let me tell you. But you were about to say?
It's funny because when people say spiel, give me the spiel. It's interesting that means play. Give me the play.
Well, I think it's somehow it's translated. It gets somehow just translated over time in American and English to just mean
because I would
when
say
you're just going on. You know,
that's now quite a derogatory term. Be like, okay, give me your spiel. Let me go on about my day.
Yeah.
Interesting how that's devolved, but that's beside the point.
Devolved is the correct word.
Because speaking of devolving, back to our topic, because our conversation here has devolved into a different subject matter.
Yeah, not evolved, not changed, but devolved.
No, devolved.
Yeah, Spielberg. I watched a documentary, and it pretty much had an overview of his career. And I was really, but the best part for anyone who wants to watch it is without a doubt the behind the scenes, just home video stuff of him and his friends, Marty and Brian and George, and just seeing all of them young and happy and being friends with each other. Makes me wish that we still had that.
Sure, but
we do and we don't.
Yeah, in some ways.
I also read the first chapter, and this is related because I read the first chapter of Richard Brody's Godard book, which is a thing is called Art or Cinema is Everything, or Everything is Cinema. I think it's something like that. The title of the book, which is something that Godard famously once said. And reading of the first chapter, which was actually pretty interesting about how he met all of the people who would become known as the French New Wave, Rivette, Romer, Truffaut, and how they essentially bonded over their love of movies, much like the New Hollywood people did. Made me very jealous, to say the least.
Sure.
And it made me also want to start writing manifestos.
Right, you mentioned that.
I mentioned that. I don't know why, but something about when you read about Godard writing reviews of movies makes you want to critique cinema. I think that's why I find them so pretentious. Probably.
So I suppose that's your clarification. It's not necessarily reviews of individual films.
Just to talk about cinema as a whole.
On the trends.
Which is really what they were doing too, yeah.
Of film overall.
Yeah, because I have a lot to say about why I hate movies nowadays.
Right.
Why I'm so miserable when it comes to new movies.
You're in good company there.
Speaking of which, a lot of trailers have dropped for movies that everyone's looking forward to that I think are going to be shit.
That's true.
Like the other day. What trailer dropped the other day, Isaac?
Well, it's that little indie flick. I think they called it Star Wars The Last Jedi.
Oh, yeah, that one.
I think that's the name.
What is the name of that little fucking mouse bird thing?
I don't. I know what you're talking about.
They call it a pongu or something, or a porg.
Porg is the word.
It's amazing how when George came up with names for things, they sounded ridiculous, but now they sound even more ridiculous because it really is just people coming up with phonetics, putting them together randomly. You could argue that Darth Vader, that it means something. You could argue that.
Of course.
You can't really argue with porg that means anything.
Well, okay, be fair. Gun. What is gun?
A Gungan?
Yeah, sure. Gun.
I'm almost certain there's an actual explanation why you call them Gungans.
Maybe there is. I don't know.
I remember reading that somewhere.
I don't know it.
He doesn't just... He's interesting. Well, we can talk about that. The point is that I dropped in on the trailer.
Okay.
It was there, and I thought,
You dropped in on it?
It was there, and I couldn't look away.
Where was it?
That's not the point. The point is that I saw it, and I didn't mean to.
You clicked on it.
I didn't click on anything.
I don't believe you for one moment.
I don't need you to believe.
Tommy Mitchell, weigh in with a third opinion.
I don't believe you. I think he's lying.
You're full of shit.
You're full of shit. You fucking watched it, right? You fucking clicked on it.
You clicked on it. You probably searched it in Google.
Shut up, Tommy. You're not even here.
Probably Googled it, and then you watched it.
You're not even here, Tommy. Why are you talking for us? Anyway. Well, I saw it. The long story short, I saw it.
Right. And
I remember watching and thinking, wow, I really don't care. I'm so amazed by my own apathy at this point for the whole thing. I really do think it's going to be a piece of shit. Not because the script is going to be bad or the director is bad. Rian Johnson's a talented guy. I mean, he wrote the script too.
Right.
You know? The actors are all fine, talented people. Everyone's, the film looks good. It's well produced, right?
Great production value.
It's just, I think the thing that people forget and that they will never really fully grasp is that at this point it is just a product. It really is just an excuse for making toys. Because again, you could say, well, that's what the original Star Wars was. Yeah, but the toys were made to finance the movies. And the movies were made because George wanted to make the movies because they were interesting ideas he had. Now we can literally just say, whether there's a group of people in suits who think Star Wars can make them a lot of money and they can't fuck it up, and so we got to make sure it does certain things.
Right. The part of the argument.
It's not an argument. I think it's just fact that the films are products now, which is fine.
Films have always, to a certain extent, been products. I get very annoyed by that. In fact, I wanted to address that earlier about Friedkin. Is there seems to be this sort of resentment of the fact that movies are products. Of course, they're products. It's a business.
Yes, it's always been a business,
and they're
but
very expensive to make. So if you are more than welcome to not use a shitload of money and make anything you want on your own with a handy cam. I get very annoyed by people who complain about the fact that they have to be able to sell their movie when they expect that they should still just for no good reason receive millions of dollars from a production company to make it.
Isaac, you don't have to explain this to me. Look who you're talking to here. I'm not the person who. I hate the French New Wave. I hate artsy fartsy shit. Even though I like some weird stuff.
Sure.
I like it's eclectic, but it's just that you could argue that over time it's just gotten worse and worse. Where when Hollywood was founded, it was founded by people who couldn't get jobs anywhere else on the East Coast. They had to move somewhere else to make their own business, essentially, and they made Hollywood. Immigrants, Jews, women.
Colonel William N. Seelig, which is
all these people who couldn't get work on the East Coast moved to Hollywood and made an industry, basically, because they didn't have any other work they could do. But the people who founded Hollywood were creative types. They were not people. They were looking to make money, but they also had a sense for stories, and they had a sense for creative endeavors, because that's what they were good at. That's what they knew. That's what they liked. Even when directors would complain, like, "Oh, Zanuck, he interfered on my movie and edited it." Well, it's because Zanuck understood how to tell us. Zanuck understood that the audience wants to see something, and that's what they were concerned with, telling stories that people wanted to see. But then, what happened? Well, first sound came in. That was the first nail in the coffin.
The talkies really...
The talkies fucked things up.
It's just been really a downhill spiral
since the talkies. It really has.
You.
It has been for me.
Yeah, you're right.
Because then you had people from... That was the first time people from the East Coast, bankers primarily, said, "Oh, wait, there's money in these pictures." And since all of the sound equipment was patented by people on the East Coast, they started moving to Hollywood, and they became an integral part of the Hollywood system. And so now, for the first time, you actually have money men working in Hollywood. Also, now that you have sound incorporated into filmmaking, certain jobs become more masculine as a result. Up to this point, many of the top editors in Hollywood were all female, because it was seen as a very feminine task, editing.
Sure.
The knitting, the stitching of pieces of film together. Then when sound came in, all of a sudden, over time, the editors become more masculine, become a bunch of men, because what? Well, because now there's sound, it's technological, it's more...
you can geek out
tech savvy, it's more male-driven now. And that's, so that was the first nail in the coffin. And then you had the buyout of the studios around the 50s. Obviously, first there was the antitrust laws, which essentially said that as a company, as a studio, you can't own, distribute, and show a film that's your product.
Which is good.
But then that also eventually led to an incredible upheaval in the industry where people were just losing money left and right. They had to reorganize the industry, and eventually all these studios were privately bought out by companies that had no business in making movies. Coca-Cola bought out, I forget, was it Warner Brothers or was it Paramount? One of them. But a bunch of, there was a cemetery company that owned, a tire company. It was weird. It was bizarre. Just some private companies that had nothing to do with films. All of a sudden were putting their own money into movies. And that was the second nail in the coffin. And then you have obviously, and I love Star Wars, and I do not think it was the death of cinema, Star Wars and Jaws and The Exorcist.
Blockbusters, right.
I think it's bullshit, but it is true that after blockbusters, you did get another shift in the industry where the studios were thinking, okay, people want to see certain kinds of movies, spectacles of a certain kind. This is what we're going to put our money into, and everything else, became less and less important. So that's how you get the 80s and the Hollywood industry as it was, which was also incredibly masculine. There were no real female stars in the 80s. And people would argue with me on this, but there really weren't. Name me one big female star who actually was a crossover in multiple franchises and multiple movies. And there is none.
Sigourney Weaver.
Only an Alien. That's all she did. She was in other movies, but she had no other crossover hit.
Franchises. Sure.
Yeah. She had two movies, and one of them was from the 70s. Alien was from 79. So Aliens was the only big hit she was in the 80s. There are no big female stars in the 80s. This is a really bizarre thing, but it's true. And then you have digital technology coming in, which in a way was great, because now you have people who have no money can make
incredible things.
But now the problem was that now on the pricey end of digital technology, you had a certain expectation of what you need to put in a movie now. Jurassic Park set another bar, where every movie needs to have certain things, which leads us into the current era we're in, where you have people who are making films that are all entirely CGI-driven, big blockbuster spectacles. Most of them are superhero films, so that you can lead to franchises. Franchises which started with movies like Harry Potter and Star Wars and shit like that. Blah, blah, blah. Basically, you have an entire industry devoted to a specific kind of movie. And the thing that I always find it annoying when people reminisce about the 70s and New Hollywood and say, oh, what a great time for movies. Like, they were making great artistic films and nothing. Well, but films like Airplane were still being made that were just stupid comedies, which are great. I love Airplane. But it was the highest grossing film, I think, of 1974 when it came out. It was one of the highest grossing films of its year. The Godfather was another one. But what made the 70s great wasn't that all these guys were making these really heavily artistic films, but that there was a diverse pool of movies. Movies of all kinds were being made. The pricey end, the cheap end, and, Midnight Cowboy, the only X-rated film to ever win an Academy Award for Best Picture. You had actual diversity in the movie business. That diversity is gone. It's very homogenous. You can't tell me that it's not true.
I don't agree. I don't disagree with that. I disagree with what the pain points they've picked out. I would argue that the biggest pain point for the repetitive nature of a lot of cinema these days is a cultural and especially industrial move towards obsession with data. I don't think money is as much of an issue. I don't think the evolving of technology is as much of an issue. I think the issue is more so now that business and investment decisions in every other sector have become more successful, and to be fair, have become even more successful in the film industry also, if we're basing success on
money,
consistent box office, on analyzing and synthesizing data.
The 4 quadrants, as they call them.
Right, the 4 quadrants. Or, like, beyond even just, the test groups, there's, I forget the company, but there's a company that's developed, like, an algorithm for telling you, like, analyzing a script and saying, like, if you change this about it, it'll appeal more to this sector, or this quadrant. If you change this about it, it appeals more to this quadrant. There's such an obsession with making a film that you can predict the success of based on past experience that obviously, as a result, a lot of, if you're all looking at the same data, and because it's not that hard to access, and you're all synthesizing that data in a relatively similar way for looking at the same benchmarks, you're going to come out with a lot of the same product. And that's the biggest issue, I think, with where franchises like the Star Wars franchise have gone, is that they found a format that they can be relatively confident they'll get 88% or above on Rotten Tomatoes, or 80% or above on Rotten Tomatoes, make X box office sales, and get X audience reaction. And once they boil down that format, they can have a consistency with the format. That's very gross.
I just want to say
saw
that
the urination. I just
segment. Love how in this extended cut, this is 40 minutes into the film that this happens.
Yep.
This does not take that long. At least I don't remember it taking that long, but even
it's a slow build here.
It is a slow build, but even in the theatrical version, I'm sure it's not immediate that this happens. I don't remember exactly. We'll have to rewatch that one too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so for those of you watching along, you should have just seen the girl urinate, and now she's in the tub.
Oh man, let me tell you, Linda Blair is wonderful in this movie.
And that's the child.
Yeah, Linda Blair is great. Back for a moment to your point, the thing I hate the most, and I kind of blame audiences. This is the first. I think I tend to not hate audiences for their taste, but I think I do now, simply because not only do they complain about the thing that they say they want now. It's kind of like with Star Wars, The Force Awakens, when it came out and everyone was complaining how it's basically just a New Hope, to which I thought, but that's what you all wanted. Everyone was saying how going into Star Wars we wanted to feel like Star Wars that we remember. We wanted to be like the original. Well, you got it.
Which is
you got the thing you wanted, but now that you've got it, you realize you didn't really want it.
Lucas's original quote, right after he saw the first cut of the film,
it was retro.
Spoke volumes about that. No, it just said, "This is exactly the film that Star Wars fans have been waiting for."
Yes, He got it on the nose. I remember the first time I read that quote, I thought, oh boy.
Uh-oh.
I was so... And already, I had a growing list of things that made me worried. J.J. Abrams is directing now. Lawrence Kasdan is writing it. Oh boy, I'm getting nervous, more nervous by the day. And now George Lucas said that shit. I thought, oh god, this is really going to be rough, isn't it? It's going to be rough for me. But, yeah, I think we've gotten to the point now where audiences want, or especially, the term is nostalgia. They want to remember things that they felt when they were kids or when they were younger. Or,
I mean, to be fair, things that we've never felt. Like, there's a weird wave of nostalgia with things like Stranger Things.
For people who have never...
From people in our generation who did not live through the 80s.
Which is so bizarre to me. I think it's because...
But I understand what they're saying because I get a sense of that feeling myself.
Well, I get why it is, too. Because
you get the hand-me-down version of that through cinema and through music and through art.
Because films made back then were
even though
better.
You never experienced it.
I'm just going to flat out say Hollywood films at least were better 20 years ago or 30 years ago than they were today. And so they, instead of watching those movies, they want to get the experience by watching a copy of a movie.
Something that can be our own.
Which if you want...
we can claim belonging to our generation.
Which if you want, kind of segues into it.
As the caliber of it. Sure.
If you want to... I already talked about it, but I guess if you want to say anything about it...
We don't have to dive into it.
That much.
If you talked for 2 hours and 45 minutes about it...
I didn't talk for... The whole thing was not it. I probably talked about it for not even 30 minutes. But if you... Yeah, basically that was one of my complaints with that movie. Was how it's basically another nostalgia trip. A lot of it.
Yeah.
Which is not that scary. And I thought, if I see another fucking movie where kids are just riding bicycles, I'm just going to get pissed because I know why it's there. And here's the thing. We all love E.T. Everyone loves E.T.
No one doesn't like E.T.
Just watch E.T.
Let's watch E.T.
I don't need to put it in another movie. Remember E.T.? Remember kids riding on bicycles in the 80s?
It was fun.
Just watch the movie. Just remember what a good movie is by watching that. Don't put it in a movie that needs to be something unique and original. God, that pisses me off now. I've actually got to the point where that actively pisses me off.
I'm noticing that.
God, Lord. And that's another reason why I'm not going to like The Force Awakens. Because no matter what people tell me, no matter what they think, or The Last Jedi, is because it's going to be Empire. It's going to be Empire Strikes Back. I fucking know it. I have no doubts about it in my mind, and I just don't care.
I am loath to make any sort of speculation about the content of the film.
Well, we can if you want, because I know. I mean, we've both read.
Yeah, sure. I don't necessarily even mean plot points. I just mean, I guess, my reaction.
Go, Linda, go.
Film. Because
go nuts.
It's become very apparent over the past decade that Disney is incredibly good at cutting trailers. They make astonishingly good trailers.
Well, they're all the same.
Because every time I see one, they convince me, oh, this one's different.
Yeah, have you ever?
This one's gonna be different.
And they're never different. I think I felt disillusioned,
especially the Marvel trailers.
When I remember I saw a Red Letter Media video. It's called "Every Trailer Is the Same," where they literally show how every trailer does the exact same beat point.
Okay.
And I realized watching it, yeah, they do. And now I see it in trailers today. I think, yeah, they're still doing it. I turn off when I see trailers. I think I don't fucking care. These trailers don't mean shit.
But I'm not going to make any comment about what I anticipate my reaction in the movie will be. I will see it. I'm not sure you're probably not going to even see it.
Nope.
I'm definitely going to see it. But I'm not going to make any anticipation about what my reaction will be. But I will say, in comparison to the Force Awakens trailers, the most recent trailer that dropped and the one before it, I'm grateful for the actual amount of content put in there, as opposed to its predecessor.
Sure. You go ahead and watch it and you tell me if you like it.
I remember the third trailer for the Force Awakens, the only real dialogue in it was essentially, the one line that they pick out for the toy and you push the button and the little figurine says that line from the movie.
Chewie,
you know what I'm talking? Sure. Chewie, even Lord of the Rings, you got Gimli and he's like, "What are we waiting for?" Or you press the button on Boromir.
That was your Gimli.
You carry the fate of us all, little one. You carry the fate of us all, little one. You carry the fate of us all, little one. And you just keep pushing the button over and over and over and over and over.
What an interesting comparison you're making here.
Essentially, they took one line from each character in the movie and just had them deliver that one line. It was very annoying.
I can't not wait.
Clearly.
Actually, one movie I am looking forward to that's going to come out next year. Well, there's a movie coming out this year that I'm looking forward to, too. But
Is it The Disaster Artist?
No, not that. Not even that one. I think I will, but I will watch that.
I'm excited about that one.
I'm not so much excited as that I know I'm going to enjoy it because if it's basically just going to be the room or like
behind the scenes of the room.
behind the scenes of the room,
Right.
it's going to be funny. It's going to be fun to watch. So, but I am looking forward to The Shape of Water.
Oh yeah.
That looks great.
Stop. Here's another pet peeve though. Stop fan world. Stop. Like I get the fan theory thing,
with the
but
Hellboy.
Stop trying to do it with everything. It's very annoying.
With the Hellboy
exactly. It is not an Abe Sapien origin story. It's not.
Wouldn't it suck if we watched it and it was?
I'll be furious.
I'll be a little pissed.
I mean,
it doesn't look like him.
Especially with like M. Night Shyamalan.
Other than it being essentially a water creature, it doesn't really look like him.
Exactly. And why can't there be separate things there? Why do we have to try and connect all of it? That's a pet peeve I've got.
And especially since we already know there's going to be another Hellboy movie that he's not making.
Exactly. That's entirely separate
would be
from
the
him.
point
Why would he infringe on that property?
He's not M. Night Shyamalan.
Exactly. He's not fake sequeling. Well, not fake sequeling us, but surprise sequeling anybody.
I like Split a lot.
I hated that element of Split. I thought it was such a good spiritual sequel, and then I was like, oh, it's a sequel.
Oh, you thought it was a spiritual sequel?
I thought it was a spiritual sequel the whole time. I was going through. I was like, this has got a lot of the same like
Unbreakable stuff.
The same thematic conversation discourse as in Unbreakable.
Well,
but
then
kind of evolved.
At least that we know that Mike
and then
Night
he shows up.
He's consistent.
Oh man! Well, he's not. That's what's interesting about him.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I guess this is sort of a return to form.
I guess that's true. Yeah, you put that needle in her.
All right, let's talk about some things about The Exorcist a little bit.
Well, I didn't tell you what movie I was looking forward to next.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I was just going to say, after watching the trailer for Ready...
You said Shape of Water.
Well, that, but I meant there was another film coming out next year.
Okay, tell me.
A Spielberg film. Hey, back to Spielberg.
We like Spielberg.
We do. I'm a big fan. Ready Player One.
Oh, sure. Okay. Hold on, though.
Wait.
You know what I'm going to say, right?
Here's why I like it. Here's why I like it. Here's why I think it's going to be... It might be brilliant. I think it might be a great movie. Here's why. Because, well, the book is okay. The book, when it first came out, people thought it was like a masterpiece. It was like a genius piece of writing. And then 5 years later, everyone thought it was a piece of shit. Oh, it's just a bunch of pop culture references and crap like that. And now it's being made into a movie with Steven Spielberg. Here's the thing about Steven. He could go one of two ways with this. And I feel like he might go the one way where the movie becomes a metaphor for society that we live in today, where
a criticism of our obsession
because
his old movies.
In the book and in the movie, it takes place in a futuristic world where society essentially is decayed, and there's nothing left in the real world.
Yeah, it's
the only pleasures
dystopian.
The only pleasures people find are in a virtual world where they just remember things that happened decades ago.
Nostalgia.
And that's what the movie's going to be about. I think it might be something brilliant.
Isn't that where the great adventure is? I mean, I haven't read the book, so I don't know the
full plot. Here's why I'm saying he could go one of two ways with it. On one level, he could actually think that could just be it, where he's like just doing the book, and he's just making this great adventure with all these pop culture references. And if that's the case, then oh boy, that'll be rough. Or he could be doing it like playing it straight down the middle, where you don't realize that it's actually about us.
Here's why I think...
And he's smart enough to do that. Because he's done it before.
But here's why I think you're wrong.
I hope I'm not.
On that.
I really hope I'm not.
Is, I love Spielberg. But he's definitely been on a downward spiral critically since the 80s.
That's not true.
I don't think...
Spencer, you should come and sit down.
He's going to stab himself in the stomach by, like, shitting on his... golden age.
Oh, there goes Linda Blair. Movies. Just jumping up on that bed. Look at her go.
My wife just walked in. Hello.
Whoa.
We're watching The Exorcist.
Whoa.
We're recording.
She should come down and sit with us and just talk.
To give you all a visual, Fabricio and I record this out of my studio apartment. Studio apartment, where I live with my wife, a rabbit, and 2 cats. So.
Two cats. Yes.
2 cats. So that gives you a visual context for Fabricio and I doing this, kind of.
What are you talking about? Spielberg has been on a downward slope.
Critical.
No.
Downwards.
No. What has he made since the 80s? He made Schindler's List. He made Jurassic Park 1 and 2.
Fair enough.
Saving Private Ryan.
Fair enough.
Munich.
Okay, you're right.
War of the Worlds. What are you talking about?
Okay, but when I say Spielberg, which movies first jump to mind for you?
Indiana Jones, Jaws.
Right. Indiana Jones, Jaws, E.T.
Yeah.
Sure. So he is a large part of 80s nostalgia.
And Hook.
I don't know why. Yeah, Hook.
I think of Hook a lot for some reason.
Sure. I don't think he would shit on 80s nostalgia when, like, Steven Spielberg is somewhat synonymous.
Well, here's something else. Nostalgia. He said that for the movie, he's because in the book there are some references to Spielberg movies in the book, but he said he's going to avoid that for the movie because it would seem like a vanity thing if he did that.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, that's true.
I think I think it might also be that since he's going to make a movie critiquing it.
Maybe. I hope you're right.
I really
doubt
do.
You're right.
I don't. See, here's the thing.
I doubt you're right, but I hope you're right.
Here's the thing. Here's why he might not do it. Because did you ever see the BFG, the Big Friendly Giant?
I did.
It was pretty mediocre, wasn't it?
It was subpar.
Subpar. And you know why?
Because the man has a high standard, to be fair.
Well, it was subpar because it was the book. It was pretty much the book. The movie was the book, and yet for some reason it felt so hollow.
Yes.
Like I feel like I should feel something really beautiful and wonderful. But right now, I don't, and I think part of that is that Spielberg is 70+ years old. I think the child in Spielberg. I think the child in him might actually be dead. I don't know. Because she's made some great movies in the last couple of decades, but every time he's tried to make like a straightforward, like almost like kids action movie,
he's tried to make a Spielberg movie.
It's failed.
Which I put in.
Those are the films that he's made that have failed.
A bomb.
Like Crystal Skull, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, wasn't very good. The BFG wasn't very good. The Adventures of Tintin wasn't very good.
Was not ideal. No.
But when he's making movies like Munich or War of the Worlds, which are like intense, it's pretty good.
Maybe he needs to make more old man movies.
Technically, the last maybe kid movie that he made that you could say was really good was probably Artificial Intelligence, AI, Artificial Intelligence.
I never saw that one.
Which is 2001. Well, I haven't even seen it either, but I hear a lot of people say it's good.
Sure, yeah.
I want to see it. I'm going to see it soon. I'm going to see that soon. I want to see it. Tommy says it's a piece of shit.
You realize, though, that
Ready
Player One is maybe not a kid's movie, but it's teen fan fiction.
Yeah, so what? It's made for a young audience. It's made for a young adult audience.
So if he hasn't had a good track record in the past 2 decades with that, what makes you think he'll have a good track record with it here?
Well, the last decade, not the last 2 decades.
Last decade and a half, let's call it.
Yeah. I just don't know. I just have a good feeling about it.
All right. I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right, too.
I sincerely hope you're right.
He's making another movie coming out later this year with Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks called The Post. It's about Meryl Streep is playing like this Washington Post reporter who I think uncovered some Pentagon papers.
Spooky.
Yeah, it's essentially, it sounds like, reading about it sounds like almost like all the President's Men.
Okay.
Like a Woodward and Bernstein kind of thing, but with Meryl Streep. I'm sure
that more Oliver Stone, but sure.
I'm sure that will get some critical accolade. But what I'm really worried about is Ready Player One. Will that be?
Right. That's the one we've got our eyes focused on.
Speaking of science fiction films.
Yes.
Blade Runner.
Do we want to talk about Blade Runner? I think we should see it before we talk about it.
Well, are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, very much so.
I love how Spencer laughed.
Okay.
I wonder what is your opinion?
So today, on the train, there was just like a huge mural of like Ryan Gosling's face, and it was like Blade Runner.
2049.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what it wants people to take away.
Is Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling's face. I'd pay good money to see Ryan Gosling's face, right?
Will, right?
Because it's Ryan Gosling's face. Now ghost stuff is happening.
Did you like Sicario?
I haven't seen that one.
You haven't seen Sicario?
No.
I think you'd like it.
I know my parents saw it. They liked it.
Did you see Arrival?
I did see Arrival.
I didn't really like Arrival.
I thought it was all right.
It was fine.
I liked, the editing. I thought, the ending where that's a nice twist.
But it has a strong vision, I would say.
Sure. It's unique. It's you know what I thought? You know my problem with it was the same problem I had with Get Out and the same problem I had with...
You had a problem with Get Out?
I had one problem with it. One problem. Just one problem.
Okay.
The same problem I had with Arrival, which was that I watched Get Out. I thought this could be a really good episode of The Twilight Zone. Like a 45-minute episode.
But it also did make a really good...
It did need to watch out for the mic.
Yeah. So the mic
We
fell.
forgot since the fridge door opened.
Right.
Oh, my bad.
It's fine.
It's all good.
You are a person who needs sustenance.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a fair comment. Like, it would have worked really well as an episode of Black Mirror to bring it to a more modern context than the Twilight Zone. I don't know if you watched any of that show. It's essentially...
I've seen the Black Mirror.
Black Mirror.
It's not as good as the Twilight Zone.
No, it's not. But you get my point.
That's right, Bill Bixby. No one can replace him.
But it also made a really good 2 hour and 15-minute movie. So I don't understand the complaint about it would have worked well as a short thing, but it also did work well as a long thing. I didn't find anything in there that I was like, ooh, that's really just stretching the time for a 2-hour movie.
See, I thought it was at some points. I thought
really?
there were points where I thought it was stretching.
All right, fair
Essentially,
enough.
any of the comedic moments with the guy on the phone, I know he's kind of necessary considering where the movie goes, but I just feel like, does he really need to be here? He's not really adding much to this movie at all.
I would say that he's the most representative of, like...
Well, now we're just talking about Get Out. This is the Get Out review.
This is the review of Get Out. The voice of the director. Looking at his historic work.
Whatever. It was a good movie.
It was a good movie.
I'm not saying anything bad about it.
We'll move past it. I'm just saying...
Same thing with Arrival. Just like Arrival, which could have been a good episode of Star Trek.
Looking at the elements
Twilight Zone.
of Blade Runner 2049. You have fantastic cast coming in. Fantastic director with really good pedigree. And you've got
I love that
one of the original writers coming back.
Yeah.
Great score. All the individual pieces, there's no reason to think that those are not great. So I don't know why you're so concerned about the
here's the
culminating product.
Here's why. Because the Blade Runner, the first movie...
Ridley Scott is not directing it.
Yes, which is a good thing.
Advantage Blade Runner 2049.
But the thing is, this didn't stop, did it?
Just a dark...
I'll take a grilled cheese sandwich. I'll take a grilled cheese sandwich.
We're going to have some grilled cheese sandwiches. Thank you,
It's all on the...
It's so sweet.
Oh, by the way, I don't know if you know this, but Tommy does actively listen to this.
Yeah, he listens
so
to
if you
all
want to
things.
say
If you have
something
any
to
messages
Tommy...
for Tommy Mitchell, this is the time.
Wow.
She doesn't have anything for you, Tommy. She has nothing
I love
to
that
say.
response.
Not right now.
Well, I guess technically her message is wow.
I think she just walked home and said, "This is a lot right now."
It's
All right.
cold out there, guys.
Do you want to continue talking about Blade Runner 2049? Or do you want to
Actually talk about the
talk
Exorcist?
about a couple of things regarding The Exorcist?
So all I want to say about Blade Runner 2049, the one thing I'll say
put
is
in your
that
last
movie,
word.
the reason why that movie
I'll
is
put in my
good is
last
basically
word.
because everyone outside of Ridley Scott was talented and it was like a lightning. It was accidentally good. It was a
That's
movie
exactly
that
what's happening with the second
this
one.
movie, but it's like a lightning in a bottle thing. It's likely to happen twice. You know what I mean?
Sure. But
Like
it
what
could
happened with
happen twice.
Ghostbusters 2.
Sure.
Lightning in a bottle does not strike twice. So we'll see. I'm
could
skeptical.
happen.
I'm just skeptical.
But we'll
I'll
see.
watch it.
We'll see it.
And we gotta watch it soon because that movie ain't making money.
No.
Which is probably the most Blade Runner thing it could possibly
Yeah,
do.
exactly. I was
is
going to
not
say.
make money.
The 82 film did
Was
not
a
make
flop.
any money.
It was a flop.
Made
But anyway,
significantly less money
so yeah, now we'll forget about
in
that.
the box office.
Also, I just want to point out that I actually do have the dishes and cigarette footage.
Yes, you said that, which is thrilling.
So I guess I'm gonna. And
So
now
Fabrizio can
after
now
looking-
create not just
and
a
not-
podcast, but can create a film that he will put out to the world, and the world
Which
will
is funny
see that
because
he
I
made
saw
it.
the footage the other day, and I remember looking at it and thinking, "Wow, there's actually a way I could edit this that it could work." It was amazing how it just came to me.
There's something there.
But it was something that it couldn't have happened 2 years ago. So it's a good thing I waited
Guess you had
4 years.
You had to grow up.
I had to. It's the kind of thing that sometimes you just have to sit on something.
Sure, just like
It took me 4 years, but I think finally I'm going to be able to finish it.
just like Martin Scorsese in Silence, you just didn't have the emotional maturity to handle the
Or
subject
Clint
matter
Eastwood in
when you
Unforgiven.
originally intended to.
Yeah.
So you had to wait to evolve.
Yeah, because Clint
Before you
Eastwood,
could
he had
tackle it.
Unforgiven sometime in 1980 something. He got the script,
So
but he had to sit on it for a decade before he could.
So as long as Dishes and Cigarettes meets the thematic value of those two films, you're allowed to justify waiting 4 years to do anything with it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be great.
I look forward to seeing the cut.
That'll be
It's
the
the only.
first-
It's the actually the only like
Thing that we've shot together.
well in the well we
Well,
shot
that
two
and
things
the
together.
the thing in
It's
Myth.
the only thing that I've been in as an actor.
And let me tell you, you're okay.
You are just fine.
You are decent, considering that you are playing yourself,
you do the job.
and you are technically the main character.
I am technically the main character.
You
You're my-
start off as the main character.
You're my supporting role.
I am, and that's what I'm good at. I support people. I bring them
I
up.
lift them up.
I lift them up from the ground and make them happy about themselves. And like this cat, I just like being here.
Ooh.
I don't know if he does.
He doesn't like being here. He tries
This
to run
cat
away all
likes
the
me.
time.
I know for a fact this cat likes me. And
Yeah,
I
he
like
does
this
like you.
cat.
He does like you.
This
All right, let's discuss.
Let's actually talk about the movie we're watching. About an hour and 4 minutes into it. Let's start talking about the movie.
Let's start talking about it.
This happens, Spencer. This happens all the time.
So there's one thing, it won't take very long, but it's the first thing that I want to tackle right out of the gate. Because I think it's important.
Was this scene in the original? I don't remember. I think it was. That's Lee J. Cobb. Good actor.
I want to tackle because I think it's important and someone
He's in 12 Angry
needs
Men.
to talk about it. That is, whoever's in charge of naming demons needs to do a better job.
What, you don't like Pazuzu?
Pazuzu is funny. Pazuzu is a funny name.
It's a great name for a demon.
It's silly.
It sounds Egyptian almost. Pazuzu.
It is only less funny than the other demon you know I'm going to mention.
The
Bagoul.
Oh, the Bagoul, yes.
The Bagoul.
She started laughing.
Spencer's laughing. So, in fact,
we got a Bagoul problem.
In fact, now that we're talking about it, I'm envisioning a spoof like buddy cop show, but like demon cops.
We've talked about this.
But you call it Pazuzu and Bagoul.
Oh, so the main characters are the demons?
Are Pazuzu and Bagoul, yes. Oh!
Yeah, that was
So for any of our listeners, who have management companies,
it's gonna be fun to edit that.
Very difficult to get in contact with. I guess threatening works.
Oh, you threatened?
We did threaten today.
Spencer
technically threatened. Said, I believe the term was get the authorities involved. It was effective. She said get someone involved. Very effective. With our primarily Polish landlord's company. So yeah, anyway, moving back to Pazuzu and Bagoul, the buddy cop show where it's not necessarily buddy cop,
That
it's
was
not
a
cops. Yeah, that was a weird pop. So there's two demons, and they're the ones going around and they're dragging people to hell as opposed to dragging them to prison, like people who don't want to go. Well, because no one wants to go to hell. So it's like a buddy cop show where they're tracking down these people who deserve to go to hell, and it's called Pazuzu and Bagoul. Because they're silly names, and bad names for demons. They're not spooky.
Well, I still think we should do that.
Also a skit about
the paranormal people who like they're like Ghostbusters, but they're not.
But they take it to an extreme where they are just like a pest control.
It's like a
company.
union job for like pest control, but specifically for demons.
Yeah,
and I just just an excuse to have the line. So yeah, it turns out we think you might have a Bagoul problem.
Looks like we've got a pretty big Bagoul problem in here. Just throw some Bagoul spray on the
corners. Yeah, we're gonna have to. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to.
We might have
fumigate the plates.
We might have to fumigate if the Bagoul spray doesn't work. But
that's really the only reason I want to do it.
If you see a Bagoul, just go ahead and open the screen door and kick it on outside.
We will make the unofficial Ghostbusters sequel that everybody really wants.
That's right. The Bagoul problem.
We don't care about cool tool equipment and flashy ghosts and lasers and shit.
No.
We just care about slobby middle-aged men running a business. About getting ghosts.
Exactly.
That's what we want from Ghostbusters.
It's really all about the economic side of it this time.
It really is.
That's what we're going to talk about.
Which is really...
We're going to focus on a struggling Bagoul infestation business.
Okay, we're going to talk about a ghost pest private... Or no, not private because there's a union.
Right.
Or maybe that could be one of those subplots of the movie. The unions trying to get members to join.
They
and then
start
their
out
boss
in
is
the
like,
union,
"Don't you talk to those union guys."
In episode 6, maybe they join the union.
Oh, this is a TV show now.
Yes.
Okay.
In episodes, or it could be.
We should pitch this to Fox.
Episodics. It's episodics.
And we would call it Ghost Control.
Yeah, exactly. Ghost.
Because they're not ghost busting anything.
They're not busting.
Nothing
Jack.
is getting busted except maybe Bill Murray's balls.
Yeah, he would be mad.
Would he?
Yes.
He didn't want to be in Ghostbusters, so if anything, we're doing him a favor.
Did he want to be in Ghostbusters 3?
He didn't.
That's true. Which is why it was never made, partially.
Which is why it's his fault that we got Ghostbusters 2016.
That's true.
It really is all Bill Murray's fault.
Upsetting.
He's an asshole.
Screw you, Bill Murray.
Screw you. That's how you know he's an asshole. It's not just that he's from Evanston.
And the Cubs suck.
Well, sometimes, but not always.
Not this year. So anyway, that's one complaint that I have in general about horror movies spanning
I forgot what we were talking about.
Demon movies specifically spanning from this is the 80s.
Right, we're watching The Exorcist. No, this movie's from 73.
73. So from 73 to 2015, I think is when the latest whatever the Bagoul franchise is.
Sinister,
whenever Sinister.
It should just
2
be called The
came out.
Bagoulish.
The Bagoulish.
Or just called Bagoulish.
Whoever's coming up with demon names.
So it's like ghoulish, but it's
silly as hell.
Bagoul-ish, like blackish.
There you go. There's another show.
Bagoulish.
kind of a Bagoul, kind of not.
Oh.
Its mom is a Bagoul, but its dad is a Pazuzu.
Oh man, we've got so many great ideas.
It's a mixed race
for shows on
It's a
Fox.
mixed race demon.
We have great ideas for shows that sound like they should be pitched to Fox specifically, or CBS.
Let's start a list of
but not
shows
NBC.
to pitch to Fox then.
Not NBC or ABC, but specifically Fox, because they would get that crap. Have you seen their standards? Oh God.
The Gifted.
Gifted.
Finally coming up.
Is 2.5 Men still on TV? No, it's not. I don't think it is. But The Big Bang Theory is.
And they've got a spin-off show this year too. Young, whatever the main character's name.
Young Sheldon?
Young Sheldon.
I don't want to see that.
A spin-off show, Young Sheldon.
I didn't want to see The Big Bang Theory.
As you might have guessed, follows a Young Sheldon.
Really? It's just like the Carrie Diaries.
Oh,
Do you remember
yeah.
that?
No, I didn't see it.
There was like a 2-year period on the CW where they had a show about young Carrie Bradshaw from Sex and the City called The Carrie Diaries.
I did not see it, but I am familiar.
Oh, sweet Lord.
Thank you for making dinner, beloved wife.
And thank you for making it in that hat and shirt.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see when I
Speaking
get
of
home.
shirts, I want to talk to you about yours real briefly because I was looking at it earlier.
And you're
And
confused?
it appears to be an X-Men
No.
Pepsi
No.
combo shirt.
What it is, it's the design is Big Trouble in Little China.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But
Now
that's,
talk me through Pepsi though.
Well, that's CM Punk, the pro wrestler.
But talk me through Pepsi.
He has a tattoo.
He's sponsored by
He
Pepsi?
literally has a
Oh, he
Pepsi
does.
tattoo.
All right, that explains everything.
He's not a sponsor of Pepsi.
Thank you. He
But
just
he
really
has-
loves Pepsi.
He loved Pepsi.
He's passionate about it.
Pepsi is yeah.
All right, I know you have some things you want to discuss, presumably about this film.
Maybe I don't.
Or are we off list now?
No.
Because I have more things to say about the Exorcist.
Well, then say what you got to say. Maybe you can lead the dialogue for once.
All right. Well, I do have some interesting anecdotes on this.
Movie?
I suppose the topic.
Because we got the book right here. We can talk about.
We do have that. Interesting anecdotes on the topic of exorcism.
Oh.
I think I've talked to you about this before. My dad is a Lutheran pastor, so he himself has never performed an exorcism because Lutherans
Don't believe it. He mentions that in the book.
Oh, really?
The characters in the book, or they live in like a Lutheran town or something like that. Something
They're
like that. I forget
in
exactly.
Minnesota or
But they go to
something.
Lutheran doctors first, and Lutherans they don't do
Like,
that kind of shit.
we don't mess
So
with
they
that
tell
stuff.
them, you should go to the Catholic priest.
So
Like
yeah,
mentioned.
he's never done it, but he has some colleagues and friends from school who have dabbled.
Did he go to Georgetown or something?
So he's got one colleague who does legitimate, old school, tried and true exorcism, but he has another friend from school, which I thought you would enjoy.
Can I spin that disco
particularly.
ball?
Yeah, of course. Hit that thing.
Oh yeah, keep talking.
Friend from school, which I thought you would enjoy, who is not. He is not an exorcist, self-described exorcist. He's a self-described demon wrestler.
Demon wrestler.
So he goes in WWE style regalia.
Stop, that's not real.
I'm not kidding. And has a spiritual ladder match with whatever demons are perceived to be in.
A spiritual ladder match. And what is at the top of the ladder?
Ladder match.
Not a briefcase.
The person's soul.
Oh my lord.
Their pure essence.
I want to see this in
So
person.
I thought that would be an interesting anecdote for you. I have never seen it in person. I have listened to a cassette tape
of him
of audio
wrestling.
recordings of this man wrestling.
Does he also have a
with
a
demons.
commentary team at a booth?
If only. See, that would be the way to take the
commenting the
production.
action.
The production
That would be
value
so
to
great.
the
And
next
now,
level.
what's his name? Does he have a wrestling name?
I don't know. If he does, I don't know it.
He's the Bagouler.
I've only listened to it once.
He's the Bagouler. Here he goes. He goes to the top rope. He's gonna. Oh my God! He's going for the elbow.
The Bagoul basher.
Onto the possessed
Yes.
soul of this 12-year-old child.
Onto the Bagoul.
That
Well,
sounds-
too, I can
Good
only.
God Almighty!
I
He's
can
broken
only
his
imagine
soul in
that
half.
he's in like a corner away from the child, because you would presume he wouldn't be actually beating on the child's physical body, but he does go through the movements of a wrestling match. So you're presuming he's doing this in like a corner somewhere.
He's giving something an armbar. We just don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Exactly. Someone's getting pile drive.
Someone is getting a hip toss.
We just don't know how.
He's putting someone in the sharpshooter. We just don't know who.
We
or
don't know
what
how
it
he's
is.
doing it. But maybe the kid doesn't have a demon anymore. That's good. So that's one of the things I wanted to talk about in context of The Exorcist. Also, the more legitimate one, those cassette tapes are the most horrifying thing I've ever encountered.
The actual cassette? You've listened to actual Exorcism cassette tapes?
Cassette tapes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, the
I'm not the pro
priests.
wrestler,
right?
But actual.
Right.
I imagine those would be comical.
Yes, very, very fun to listen to.
But the actual.
And hopefully people. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say that it's not legitimate, but I hope that he's an absolute last resort or a first resort because people think it's actually just a joke. Well, for people who genuinely think they're. I know that
they based this off of an actual case.
Right.
They based this. Okay, the movie's based on a book, and the book is based off an actual case because the person who wrote the book studied at Georgetown.
Okay.
And which was a Lutheran or Catholic or whatever university.
Somewhere where people are
Jesuit. I think that might have been Jesuit.
Somewhere where people are getting their Masters of Divinity.
Yeah, and
which is a great name for a degree if you're looking for a degree with a really cool name.
Yep, it is yes. And so he was allowed years later when they were making the film. The book he essentially wrote as a fiction piece because he didn't have access to the files. But from what he knew, he tried to write a story that was believable.
And reminiscent of the
truth. They actually got recordings and files and manuscripts of the actual exorcism. And then Friedkin himself says that, it turned him into a kind of believer, I guess.
Yeah, or a believer in, like, presence of evil.
As Friedkin says, one of his favorite quotes... Don't worry, I'm sure that'll show up, but that's fine. One of his favorite quotes from Shakespeare that he loves to quote all the time, he says, "There are more things in heaven and earth than can be dreamed of
in your philosophies."
Horatio. Yes. He loves to say that.
It's a great line.
It is a great line, and it does cover a lot of ground.
Gives you the gist of it.
What are you doing?
Just making some adjustments. Raising us up a bit. Carry on. As you were.
Actually, he's rubbing my genitals.
As you were. Well, yeah, that too. But
because people, they don't see what you're doing.
I didn't want to commentate that. You don't want to know what that sound was.
No, yeah, you don't want to know.
You don't want to know what that sound was.
See, now I've already run it. I really don't have much to say about this movie.
You don't have much to say about The Exorcist?
Other than it's a good movie, really.
It's a great movie.
The other thing I want to talk about... No, I will say it's probably one of the best horror films ever made.
It's my favorite horror film.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised.
Far and away.
But at the same time, I am. I am and I'm not.
Another thing we can discuss...
Do you shampoo your hair every day?
No.
I thought so.
Is that relevant?
No, I just looked at it. It was
not. You're right.
I'm just looking at him thinking. I'm just thinking he doesn't put shampoo in his hair every day, does he?
Not this day.
Whenever I take a shower, I make a point of I have to.
Well, yeah, you got a lot of it. I imagine it gets.
It's thin. It's long.
I imagine it starts dripping with oil fast.
It gets very greasy after about a day. Completely unrelated to the Exorcist.
I can only imagine. No, sure, but relevant to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm jealous of you white people.
Now you can take a picture of it.
You honkies and your beautiful, thick hair where you don't have to worry about putting anything in it for a week.
So yeah, we've kind of been meaning to ask you this for a while. So do you go by like a bun now, like most days? Some days it's a bandana, or it's always a bun now?
Well, no, now it's always a bun, but some days it'll be a bun and a bandana.
I see. No ponytails, though?
No ponytails. Oh, I hate that look.
Good. Good man.
I'm not a 30-year-old basement dweller who organizes Dungeons and Dragons sessions with his friends.
Just a 23-year-old.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, even though there is. But
23-year-old basement dweller who watches.
I'm a 23-year-old basement dweller who watches
Jackie Chan the animated Jackie Chan the animated series.
The Jackie Chan Adventures.
Delicious.
You want soup?
I'd love soup.
I want the option.
I'd like to have the choice.
I like to have it here.
Wow, 2 grilled cheese.
Yeah.
Jesus,
we're
and not just any kind of cheese. This looks like what kind of like Parmesan or
Swiss,
the best kind.
The holy cheese.
Yes, the holy cheese.
There's holy water and there's holy cheese, and that's all you get.
So you Lutherans don't believe in transubstantiation?
No. Well, okay. Yes. Sorry.
This is the real. There she goes.
Yep, doing some stabbing. So again,
not just any stabbing.
For those of you watching at home, the grotesque
it's maybe hot as hell.
Stabbing.
The way I like it. Oh no! Yeah, there you go.
In very unpleasant places.
Genitalia, please.
Yep. Yeah, genitalia. There, that's a nice way to put it.
Oh, there we go.
Whoop. The demonic. This is the the zenith of the demonic possession.
When people were watching this in theaters, that there were people who passed out.
I can imagine.
Started throwing up. They couldn't
Running,
watch
fleeing.
This is great. I love the demon's voice. Can we just listen to that? Damn it.
You just got the scream.
We got the scream.
That's something.
It was a Tarzan scream.
The demonic voice will be back. Yeah.
Pazuzu will say more.
Exactly. Pazuzu's not done talking.
Yes. You know what your daughter does with her cunt.
Disgusting.
It's worse than, it's almost as bad as like an Evil Dead, Sam Raimi kind of, like those.
Yeah, almost to that level of,
it's really
preposterous.
It's so funny. This is ridiculous. This Pazuzu.
Over the topness. Pazuzu. See, now you're starting to get into the
Great,
silliness of the name.
Pazuzu's great.
Pazuzu.
I believe that Pazuzu means business. All right. I believe
it's like a dog name.
Oh,
like, Pazuzu, come back inside.
Oh, that's what I'm calling that cat from now on.
Pazuzu.
Since you hate that cat so much, we're just gonna call him
I like
Pazuzu.
that cat.
No, you don't.
I love that cat.
Don't lie.
He's just bad. He's a bad cat. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's not my fault he's bad. But yeah, something.
Maybe you're just a bad parent.
Something else. Well,
like Ellen Burstyn.
What a great segue. What a great segue.
Into what?
Because the other thing that I want to talk about with The Exorcist is how many of these, and I mean, I'm sure that this was talked about prior to me. I'm not saying that this is some sort of revelation, but it'll be
Exorcisms
interesting.
are pretty much just kids acting up.
Well, sure, but the thing that I think you and I would have an interesting conversation about is how so many of these horror movies are essentially come across as like allegories for just fear of children, fear of being a parent.
Oh yeah.
And the interesting anecdote that comes along.
Like Alien.
With it, yeah, yeah, that's a great example
I
too.
thought that was just about male rape.
Okay. I'm not sure I get that allegory, but all right.
What? Because it's a woman. The alien's a female that gives that, but the men give birth to the alien, right? Because they get impregnated, the face hugger, and then they give birth to the alien. It's like a phallic object, the way the alien is shaped.
It's more like just a human baby head.
It's phallic. What are you talking about? It's so phallic. It's long. It's it's phallic.
That's not where my mind went, but
That's where most people's.
I guess I don't have phalluses on the mind.
I do.
Moment.
Okay. Let me tell you,
Sometimes, but not at the moment.
I was born and raised in the school of Freud. You were saying?
Yeah, but a musical artist who you and I both enjoy,
Prince?
Owen Ashworth.
Oh. I like him too.
Not Prince, sorry, not
Prince.
this time. Prince will definitely come up many times. In fact, he came up earlier.
In fact, we should watch a
prologue.
Prince movie here at some point.
We could. But Owen Ashworth, the musician that you and I both enjoy.
Who I've yet to see live.
His latest, his most recent album, a whole lot of it is about. I
listened to it.
About horror movies.
Yeah.
Reference to horror movies.
But it's really about parenting.
When I saw him performing it live, he was explaining that a lot of women get food cravings when they're pregnant. They want weird combinations of food. He said that during his wife's second pregnancy, she didn't really have a lot of weird food cravings, but she had strange cinematic cravings. Oh. Specifically, she wanted to watch a whole lot of horror films. It's particularly from this era, 70s, 80s. And he said that it was actually really bad timing for him because so many of these movies depict children as either the gateway to pure evil or the receptacle for pure evil or just straight up pure evil.
Children
like
of
the
the
Omen.
Corn, the Omen.
Mm-hmm.
This.
Any. I can't think of very many. There are a few. Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby.
Can't think of.
Literally, child of the devil.
Exactly. Can't think of very many.
God is dead.
Horror movies where evil children are not being brought into the mix in one way or another. So I thought that was a pretty interesting.
Well, Jaws.
Well, that's not really a horror movie.
Yes, it kind of is. It's a horror movie about a shark.
Sure.
Just like Alien's a horror movie about
a horror
an
movie
alien.
in space. Yeah.
Films in space. That should be a segment on the show.
But yeah, I thought that was let's talk about movies in space.
Well, we should have a segment called Segments where we talk about segments we should do on the show. in the future. Or things just,
That was funny because I was thinking earlier while I was driving to pick you up, we should have a segment about where each time we pitch a movie idea that we know we'll never make. Which seems to happen on its own anyway, for instance. Or a TV show in this case.
Bagoul and Pazuzu?
Pazuzu and Bagoul.
I think I prefer Bagoul and Pazuzu.
Alright. I don't really care either
I think
way,
it should be alphabetical.
So Bagoul and Pazuzu it is.
I forgot you have a rabbit.
Yeah, there she is. Now she's the devil incarnate.
Nikki.
I can look it in the eye and see. Dun 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 dun.
Shows you how she dies. You die.
However I'm gonna die, let me tell you. I hope she's there for it.
Me too.
But yeah, it makes me wonder if that if that's ever something that's in the subconscious. Speaking of Freud, of the directors when they're making these films is just a terror, a fear of being a father or mother or parent.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
That's all I can.
I thought we'd have more lively conversation.
Well,
on
yeah,
that,
I don't
that's
know.
all right.
Yeah, I guess you're right. So back to E.T.
Yeah, let's get back to E.T.
No.
So we've said enough about The Exorcist.
It's kind of weird how I really have nothing. I picked this movie, but I really have nothing to say about it.
Don't you have notes? Did we cover everything on your notes?
Let me see. What did we not cover? Oh yeah, we didn't cover the new Jackie Chan movie.
All right, let's talk about The Foreigner. I assume that's what you mean, not the Lego Ninjago movie.
Well, did you see the Lego Ninjago?
I did not, but I'd love to.
It's all right. It's weird because I remember when the first Lego movie they were showing trailers for that one years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Not that long ago, but years ago. And I remember thinking, "There's no way this could be that good." And then we watched it, and I thought, "Oh, this is amazing."
I remember shaking my head at every trailer, and then went to see it because I was like, "Oh, why not?"
And then
it was brilliant.
And then I remember the trailers for the Lego Batman, thinking, "There's no way this could be as good." And then we saw it, and thought, "This is really great." And so by the time we get to the Lego Ninjago, I think, "Okay, there's a chance this will be great." And then I watched it, and I thought, "Oh, this is the worst of the three, without a doubt." What a shame.
Yeah.
But I will say, I saw
so your expectations are the real villain.
So we saw it, and I saw it with Alan in the theater, and we went to the worst possible theater. We went to the AMC at Block 37.
That's right, you told me that. Where you have to pay for food.
Already, you know why. She gets it.
It's a bad time.
It's the worst movie theater.
Worst movie theater ever.
Did you miss your movie because you were late?
No, we didn't.
But that happens.
Better than we did.
Yeah, better than that. But we
But it happens.
we went there, and I hate because we usually when we go pay overpriced tickets for a movie, we go see multiple. But you can't sneak into different.
When there's only 20 seats.
When there's only 20
and
seats.
someone waiting at the door.
And then let me tell you, that security was on lockdown. They were tight. They were tight. I hated it. But I will say this: one of the delights. Oh wait, no. That's what we saw. We saw it at that theater.
No, I was just
Like
saying,
an
I feel like
Ninjago, we saw at. We saw that at another crappy AMC. We saw that at AMC River, like 600 North Michigan, which is the second worst theater. I've paid too much money for 2 movies this past couple of weeks.
Another crappy AMC.
I've paid like $30 in movies this past couple of weeks, and I regret it thoroughly. But we watched it there, and one of the good things was that it was the only time in my life where I can honestly say we were the only 2 people in the theater.
Really? Yeah, that is a magical experience.
It was magical. It was great. We threw things at the screen.
Did you move seats? That's one thing I love to do, move seats a lot.
Those seats are the ones where they go like this.
Yeah.
You can put. We just
Like
started fucking around with the different seats. We started. Let's have them all go out just to fuck with them.
Good.
It was fun. But we saw the movie, and I will say this: the one time we were really excited was at the very beginning because it starts off in live action.
Oh, really?
It starts off in live action. This kid enters an antique shop, and the moment he's in the antique shop, I sit out down. I bet Jackie Chan's gonna show up.
When he enters the antique shop, is there anyone who says, "Oh, and one more thing"?
No, that's
What a shame.
Clearly, they don't know the brilliant Jackie Chan Adventures TV show.
They've never seen it.
I want to make that into a movie, Jackie Chan Adventures, a live action edition. That would be awesome. But anyway, so at one point he does something. He accidentally throws something, and of course you see Jackie Chan appears out of nowhere and catches it. And Alan and I just jumped and said, "Ah,
Jackie Chan!"
Jackie Chan! That was the best part of the movie when Jackie just shows up, random. This is the very beginning because he's technically the narrator.
Oh, is he?
Technically, he's the narrator as well as one of the.
He is one of the voice actors as well.
Yeah,
right?
he's also one of the characters, Master Wu.
He's the master.
He's
right.
the sensei. So that movie was pretty mediocre.
Okay.
There were good things in it, like good ideas, but they didn't execute them
thoroughly.
on the. So the movie starts. The Lego part actually starts, and it's not an origin story. It starts and they are the Ninjago. They're already Ninjago, and Garmadon, who's the villain, consistently just keeps attacking the town. It's like it's like a joke at this point. It's like, and like the predictions, like weather predictions, prediction of Garmadon invasion. It's like 90% chance today of a Garmadon invasion.
Okay.
And
that's funny.
And so that was already rough because you're just. And again, there's a TV show that this is based off of, but I've never seen it, so you're just expected to know.
Radically different.
Yeah, so you're just expected to know these characters, I guess, and it's just.
Gotcha.
Who are these people?
You don't get introduced to them very well.
Except for the main character, you really don't get that. Because the main character, he's the focal point, because his dad is Garmadon.
Lloyd.
And he's the Green Ninja. But the dad at first doesn't know that his son is the Green Ninja. Mm. And no one else knows this. Everyone hates Lloyd. Everyone hates Lloyd. Everyone hates Lloyd because he's the son of Garmadon. Everyone knows this.
Yeah, messed up.
Everyone knows he's the son of Garmadon, but I guess...
But Garmadon doesn't know that he's the Green Ninja.
No.
I see.
Who's his arch enemy? Oh, that Green Ninja keeps foiling with my plans. But, accidentally hit the cat.
He's gone now.
He's still there. He likes the abuse.
But anyway, so I assume you were trying to talk about The Foreigner then.
Well, now you guys are talking about Lego Ninjago.
Okay.
Good job.
Keep talking about Lego Ninjago.
You brought it up.
Well, good, because we've still got
41
minutes in this movie.
Wow. We need to get we got to get like a 3-hour plus film. So that we can actually run out of things to talk about.
Watch the extended cuts of the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah.
4 hours and 15 minutes.
That's let's just do that.
Rambling on.
Then eventually we'll really hate each other.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, the middle part was actually good. Because in the middle part, technically the adventure begins.
Okay.
The adventure technically begins halfway through the film. Which is weird. Because they're fighting Garmadon.
That's a lot of inciting incident.
They fight. He invades the town twice at the beginning of the movie.
Before any of the inciting incident action.
Before the actual real plot kicks in. Basically, the movie's about how Lloyd, he's the Green Ninja, but he doesn't know who he's supposed to be. Like, what does that represent? What does it mean?
What's my purpose?
What's his purpose? My dad is Garmadon. Yeah, but it's not done as great as it could have been. But I will say that Jackie Chan, whenever he's in the movie, is a highlight. Obviously. Even his voice is charming as hell. And then I love there's that one scene where he explains essentially they're like Power Rangers, but they're ninjas. Because it says, oh, you are the ice, your element is ice. You're the ice ninja, and you're the fire ninja.
You know what else that makes me think of?
Right, but
Toa.
And yeah, which is, I was saying that at the end of the movie, I said that to Alan. I said that to Alan at the end of it. This material is very close to Bionicle.
Bionicle ripoff.
How have we not gotten that movie yet?
Yeah, like a really
Even
good
though
one.
technically there have been 3 Bionicle
Mask of
movies.
Light was actually, it's not good, but I loved it.
I still have a VHS.
I think that's great.
Oh, it's great stuff. Anyway, that's something I would love to do. But anyway,
yeah, we could do a Bionicle.
But then at some point, okay, so he explains you're the fire one, you're the water one.
Segment now.
And then he says,
something we'll never make.
Yeah, you're right. And then he says and then Lloyd's like, okay, what am I, Master Wu? What is my element? Yours is the most important of all. You are the element of green.
Okay.
Well, say that again. What am I? Green. That was pretty funny. Just his delivery of the line was perfect. Green. Okay. So yeah, and then later on in the movie, he plays a flute and plays It's a Hard Knock's Life on the flute. And then he plays Welcome to the Jungle on the flute.
Weird.
When they go to the jungle.
Weird.
It's great. It's awesome. Again, Jackie Chan, even though he's probably not the one playing the actual instrument, anything involving Jackie Chan is great.
It's a highlight for you.
He's always a highlight. But basically, he uses the ultimate weapon, Lloyd, to defeat Garmadon for the final time. The ultimate weapon turns out to be like a ballpoint pen with a red light, because then an actual cat shows up out of nowhere.
A ballpoint pen with
like a red laser.
You're talking about a laser pointer.
I'm talking about not a ballpoint, laser pointer. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was like, come on, man. You know what a laser pointer is. A
laser pointer with the red dot.
Is the ultimate weapon because a giant cat.
A giant cat shows up and he starts smashing things, and that was adorable. It's seeing an actual cat. It was an actual cat.
Live action cat.
A live action cat just smashed the town.
That does sound fun.
And so now they have to go get the ultimate weapon. That's the ultimate weapon is the cat. They have to go to the jungle to get to the ultimate weapon to defeat the cat. So that's really the plot. The plot begins after they've unleashed the ultimate weapon.
Spoiler alert in retroactive spoiler alert. Although if by the time we've released this you haven't seen Lego Ninjago movie.
You're not going to.
Who cares?
So the movie's alright, and the father and son reconcile, and happily ever after, blah blah blah. Jackie Chan's great. Anyway, The Foreigner.
The Foreigner. Which is essentially like feels more like a Liam Neeson movie.
It's
but
a
with
change
Jackie
of pace.
Chan in the starring role.
It's a change of pace for Jackie, to be sure. At least
Yeah.
for Western audiences.
I was gonna say it seems.
And I can't wait.
He's more of a, well, not an anti-hero, but he's
Basically, yeah.
yeah, he's more of an anti-hero in this. It's more of a revenge story than a, Jackie standing up for the little guy, or standing up for some sort of moral virtue story that we've become so used to.
Yeah.
Is that all you had to say about it?
I can't wait.
All this build-up, and that's all you have to say about the
I can't
foreigner?
wait. I can't wait. That's all I gotta say.
Son of a
I'm
bitch.
sure it'll be great. What do you want from me, alright? I'm a human being.
You said you're like, one more thing I want to talk about. Jackie Chan's upcoming movie. It looks like it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Well, look, man, we got like 30 plus minutes
Oh,
left.
man.
Alright. What were you gonna say? What were you gonna say?
I thought that was going to spark some sort of conversation, but I have nothing to add to that.
You got nothing to add?
I tried to talk about it being kind of like a Liam Neeson movie.
Well,
I thought that might do
it is.
something
Well,
for
you know who
you.
directs the movie? You know who's directing it?
No.
Martin Campbell, who was the director of Casino Royale.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Looks like it's gonna be great.
Looks like it's great.
I will say this. Technically, it's not the first time that he's done this kind of role.
Okay.
Silly wabbit. He's done serious roles before, like Crime Story is more serious from like '93, Shinjuku Incident from 2009, Big Little Soldier. So he's done serious roles before, but those are mostly like Hong Kong or Asian films. So Western audiences haven't really gotten to see him do more serious roles. He wants to be. Clearly, he wants to be. He says it all the time. I want to be like the Asian Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, or Al Pacino. He keeps Dustin Hoffman.
He needs to do more gangster movies.
Yeah, I guess like Shinjuku, but he has to be the gangster. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to be willing to play tough characters, like really morally ambiguous. I don't think he can do that. But or that he doesn't. I don't think
He's got to be less lovable.
Well, I think. Well, he can be. I just think he doesn't want. I think he's got an image that he's like he's. But I feel like he's at this point in his career because he's 63.
Right.
Where he's at a crossroads. He's at a crossroads right now because he has a choice. Because he's too old to be doing the action he used to do. But he's also not so old that he can't be in movies, right?
Or be an action star in movies.
Clearly.
Yeah, because Foreigner looks like he's kicking a lot of ass.
It looks like he's kicking a lot of ass. Who knows? Maybe there's no ass kicking involved. Maybe it's all special effect.
Maybe.
Maybe Jackie Chan is a fraud. After that one movie, after all this time, he really was a fraud.
He's never done his own stunts.
He never did
ever.
he never did the flip. He never did the kick. None of this.
He never did that tree stunt that almost killed him.
No, that was a CGI effect.
That's right.
Anyway, what was I about to say?
Director.
Yeah. So I guess what I was saying was that he's got a choice.
He's got a crossroads, right?
He's got a choice where he can, if he wants. If I were him, I would just devote myself to directing full time and just be behind the camera, and just. The problem with that, of course, becomes that there's no one who can be as charismatic as Jackie Chan. Because he's got his own stunt team, and they can do the stunts.
Right.
But no one's as charismatic as him, so who could be a great lead in a Jackie Chan movie who isn't Jackie Chan, right? On the other hand, he could just devote himself to just doing acting full-time and just dramas and, like, serious pieces.
Where he talks a lot.
But then, at that point, you know... He can't really direct those kinds of movies. He can't really do that kind of thing. So it's like he's got to make a choice what he wants to do with the rest of his life. I don't know.
Or he could go out in a blaze of glory.
If I were him, like I've talked about, I have so many ideas for Jackie Chan movies.
Right.
That I would love to do with him. God, I have a great idea for a Jackie Chan Woody Allen movie.
You want to talk about a couple of those since we're
No, because I'm sure someone will steal them.
Oh, you're right.
I don't trust the people. Someone is going to steal Bagoul and Pazuzu, I guarantee you.
Viewership.
Give it a year. That'll premiere on Fox.
If I see
spring season of
if
2018.
I see a demon buddy cop show in the next year,
you'll know.
There's going to be a phone call. And
there will be hell to pay.
It's not going to be pleasant. Oh, see, now you just give him a tagline for it.
Oh, there will be hell to pay. God damn it.
God damn, Fabricio. Why? Why would you do that to me?
That's amazing.
It's a great tagline. We could absolutely sell it.
Couple seconds of silence.
Silences.
We were eating. For Christ's sake. We are men. Where's Max von Sydow? Where is he?
Haven't seen him yet.
That dude's in Star Wars.
Is that Max von Sydow?
No, that's not Max von Sydow, but that's
Another dude from
Star Wars? He looks like the dude from Star Wars, but let me see if I... Oh, I guess it's not. No, it's not. It's not. From afar...
Peter something?
Peter Cushing.
Thank you.
That's not Peter Cushing. From afar, it looked like him. You may fire when ready.
He made a great Van Helsing, though.
Yes, he did. Yeah, where's Max von Sydow? He's not shown up at all.
I haven't seen him.
I think at the beginning, he was in the beginning. He was in the beginning.
We haven't been paying super close attention.
You're right. We got 30 minutes left. He's going to steal the show.
Yeah, he tends to. He was also in Star Wars now.
You're right. He was also in
Star Wars.
God damn.
A very, very, very small role. A surprisingly small role for such a impressive actor. He had maybe 3 minutes. I thought he was gonna be more integral, but I guess he wasn't. No, he wasn't. Maybe he'll get flashbacks. They seem to like that. Seem to like doing flashbacks.
It seemed like he was just there because he's Max von Sydow. You know what I mean?
He's got the right voice.
Oh, it's Max von Sydow. Let's just have him here.
Let's throw him in there.
We have him available for a weekend.
Someone threw around the buzzword lore. Someone was like, "Oh, lore," and they're like, "Oh, Max von Sydow." Then
you should. I wish he had more of something to do in that movie.
I agree.
I would have loved it if they had not. If Han Solo and Princess, I would have loved if they didn't show up at all. And you just got different people.
I gave you my pitch about it, which was actually kind of funnily similar to the director of the new King Kong movie.
Where he started off with the killing the old Kong.
Yeah, the pitch that I think I gave when we were talking initially about what they could do with Star Wars 7
shot.
Is that within the first 5 minutes of the movie you have the Millennium Falcon flying away, and it just gets...
That's the money shot.
That's the shot. That's the poster shot.
Yeah.
It's the DVD cover shot. And the Millennium Falcon just gets blown out of the sky, and everyone's on it, and they're all dead. And you saw it happen, so there's no, going back on it, and then you can start with something fresh.
That's a great idea.
Send a message.
We're done. I approve of that idea.
I thought it was good. But
good.
It's not the Star Wars movie that the fans have been waiting for.
You know what the Star Wars movie I've been waiting for? None. Because I was done after 3. Thought this is enough. We don't need more.
You didn't want to see Lucas's 7, 8, 9?
If he had done it, I would have been enthusiastic. But he's not doing it. So I don't care.
Never will.
See, technically speaking, that is an auteur. So you can't really take an auteur's movie, may have someone else do it, and expect it to come out as good. It's kind of how that theory works. It's all about who's making it.
Yeah, that's the premise.
Since he's not making it, I'm shaking my hands here. You can't see.
It's emphatic.
It's very emphatic.
It's very emphatic, but it is visual.
Which an audio-only podcast is not.
It does not. It's not effective. Here's the rosary.
Which Catholics love.
No.
Do Lutherans love rosaries?
We don't have them.
Good for you.
Don't bother with them.
Do you have anything?
Trinket-wise?
Yeah.
No, not really. My dad wears one of those little white plastic collars sometimes.
How religious are you, would you say?
Religious
on a scale of 1...
Religious in the sense of consistently doing something religiously, or religious in terms of belief? Belief or action?
I guess both.
Belief,
pick one.
Belief, strongly religious, strongly Christian. Practice, Sunday is one of my 2 days off, and it's the only day that my wife and I have together. So most of my Sundays are spent entirely with her and not at church.
Well, that's a religious experience in and of itself.
Beautiful. Bitch. That's my church right there. And she said, for those of you who can't hear...
Oh, no, she heard that, right?
You're my church bitch. Which would be nice on a t-shirt.
It actually would be good on a t-shirt.
That would be good on a t-shirt.
I'm your church bitch. I'm not your church, Isaac?
You're not my church. I don't see you on Sundays usually. Because I see my wife.
You think about me, though, when you're with her.
Exactly.
Occasionally.
All the time.
Sometimes I call you. Although that was technically Monday morning.
I forgot.
Are you sorry?
We were,
Gin.
You didn't sound sober.
No, we were not.
We were not.
We're decidedly not. But I stand by the conversation.
I don't remember the conversation.
Oh, you didn't see? Oh, so you like Gene Hackman's performance in that movie?
Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
The Conversation is a movie starring Gene Hackman.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I stand by that too then.
What's that noise?
I think that's your hard drive, man.
Oh. I think it is. No, it stopped.
It was
Good.
stressing out. It's scared. It doesn't like this part of the movie.
Maybe I'll get the soup away from it.
That's not a bad idea.
Maybe I'll keep the soup away from...
It's not a bad idea. So, at this point in the film, are both priests still alive, or is one of them died?
No, they're still alive.
Right.
I think we would have remembered seeing one of them die.
I think so, too.
A character does die at this point in the movie. By this point, a character has died. I don't remember if it was off-screen, though. Because we haven't been paying attention.
No,
but
we haven't.
The Ellen Burstyn character, who's the mother, who's basically Shirley MacLaine. That's her character. Her character is Shirley MacLaine.
From...
The actress.
Oh, okay. She's playing herself.
Well, no. Ellen Burstyn's the actress who's playing the character of the mother, who is based on Shirley MacLaine, the real-life actress.
Okay.
Because the writer of this book knew Shirley MacLaine.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so...
That's all the dots.
What was I about to say? Yeah, so the mother was... The daughter asked the mother if she was involved with the director of a movie she was working on. Are you involved with such and such man? Because she was divorced. She's a divorced mother. And so she was with this dude, presumably. And then the director eventually dies in this movie. Presumably the girl killed him. Or she's... Lee J. Cobb accuses the mother of the girl murdering...
Right. That's the babysitter who falls out the window, right?
Yeah.
The guy who she asks to watch the kid.
Yeah.
Right. I remember that. I think you got your demon voice again if you wanna get that on tape. Ooh. I do think it's interesting that...
Wait a second. Let me see one thing.
Yeah, it does seem out of sync here.
No, wait a second.
Is that what you're worried about?
Is it in a different language?
Oh, no, they're just
It's in Portuguese!
Oh, is it really the entire time?
We've been watching the Portuguese dub.
Oh, I thought that they were just speaking Latin,
They
which
were
I was going to
speaking
talk about.
Portuguese.
Well, clearly we've had it so low that we don't know. Oh.
Now it's in English.
That's in English.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
That is very clearly an English statement. That is not Portuguese. Why was it set in Portuguese?
It was just automatically set to Portuguese, I guess.
That's weird.
I'm not complaining. I'm great. Now I can watch this in Portuguese if I want.
Yeah, and you'll understand all of it, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
You'll understand all the minute...
I was wondering, wait, that doesn't sound like that's literally not their voices.
It's like, is that Latin? But it's out of sync. Video to picture.
Oh, obviously they're speaking Portuguese. That's why.
So if you listeners have been watching this movie in Portuguese the whole time, honestly, if you've been watching English to get the authentic experience, you should probably go back, change the setting to Portuguese, and watch the movie in Portuguese
up until this point.
Up until this part of the movie, and then switch it to English. If you're trying to really follow along with us.
Yeah.
Because that's what we did.
We care about authenticity here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, bed's lifting up. Nice special effect. It's a nice little practical effect there.
Yep, that's happening.
You want to talk about practical versus special effects?
Do I?
I feel like that's a...
Do I care?
That's
is
a
the
movie
question.
Topic.
That's the question, really, is do I care?
No, I heard they got this shot by renting out one of those bucking bronca, like bull, the mechanical bull. Mechanical bull, that's what I'm going for. Just put the bat on a mechanical bull and have the shot work out.
Yeah. I know that the way they got their
nicely.
breath coming out this way, like you can see their breath, is because they shot this in a meat locker.
Really?
They built the set in a meat locker.
Interesting.
Yeah. Pretty fucking cold.
Yeah, that'll do you.
That's pretty great.
That'll do you good. That's commitment.
They shot this in a meat... This is all in a meat locker right now.
Oh, here's an interesting topic that we can kind of go off of.
Look at that. That's great.
Ew.
She was eating some sugar frosted cookies.
They'll get you. Yeah, they're definitely... That'll be us both later tonight.
Why did I do this to myself?
Talking about cocks and hell and stuff.
Cocks in hell, yeah.
That's an interesting...
I think the problem I have with that statement is just that she presumes that my mother prefers cocks over anything else. I don't think you know my mother, good sir. Pazuzu.
Yeah, don't say good sir. Say Pazuzu.
All right, Pazuzu. You don't know if my mother likes cocks at all.
There's no evidence of that except for...
There's no evidence of that at all.
You were born.
You don't know how that happened.
Another sibling.
You don't know how that occurred.
You're right. That is an assumption.
For all you know, my parents' marriage is a sham.
That's true. I don't know. I couldn't know.
You could.
There's no way for me to know.
You could never know.
There's no way for me
Nor
to know.
could
that.
Pazuzu.
Pazuzu might know. Pazuzu likes to see things from home.
The power crest compels her.
Clearly, this child had some more exposure than any that preceded and many that proceeded her. But I remember.
I think you mean succeeded.
Succeeded. Thank you.
Proceeded. What the fuck?
Preceded.
What is that, Isaac?
Yeah.
Learn English.
It's bad. It's bad.
Your father's a Lutheran priest. You should know these things.
Thank you. But I remember at one point I worked on like a spooky, but like a cute spooky movie, kind of like a Tim Burton, but even cuter, like short film that featured a child actress playing against a zombie, and they were friends.
What are you talking about?
A movie that I worked on while at Columbia.
Sounds awful.
And the girl, the actress who played the girl in that short film, also is in Insidious 2.
Really?
Yes, Insidious Chapter 2 or 3, one of the two.
This still sounds awful.
No, it's not great.
It's not great.
It's not great. It's fine. It's not great. But I remember we were talking because her mother had to be on set when she was working because of laws and stuff.
Because of laws.
Because of laws and such. And her mom was talking about her working on Insidious Chapter 2. I think it was 2. And
the one without Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, the one without Ethan Hawke.
Oh wait, this is Insidious, not Sinister with Bagoul.
Not with Bagoul.
This is Insidious.
Maybe it was Sinister 2.
Was it Sinister 2 or Insidious 2?
Does Sinister 2 have children? That's the one
with
the
Bagoul
projector.
wants kids.
It's the projector that like shows home movies of killing. It was that one.
So it's
Sinister 2.
You got your horror films mixed up.
I've got my Jason Blum properties mixed up. There's just so many.
Jesus.
But yeah, so she's in Sinister 2, and her mom was talking about working on it, and although she filmed all the scenes, she did not let her daughter watch the movie, and is not intending to let her daughter watch the movie until she's like 16. She's like 8, 9 maybe.
Okay.
At the time of filming.
Who gives a shit?
It doesn't matter. But that's an interesting topic. Like
well, Linda
parents'
Blair.
involvement. Yeah, because you've got some anecdotes.
I got an anecdote. What's in the book? William Friedkin has said it many times in interviews. It's a wonderful little story about how he found Linda Blair, the actress who plays the girl in this movie. And basically, he was looking, obviously the script called for a kind of preteen, a 12, 11-year-old girl to play the part. And they did a huge nationwide casting call.
The challenge being, most 11, 12-year-olds, or
would not be able to do this.
11, 12-year-olds' parents are not necessarily comfortable with their children doing it. And those who are, the children may not be.
And what 11, or like what 12-year-old girl could do this material and not be...
Convincingly.
and not be traumatized by the experience, considering what happens in this movie.
And there's no real way to call in kids method acting for this.
Who could pull this off?
Remember when you were possessed by
Mike Nichols was offered this movie before Friedkin, and he turned it down because there's no way in hell you're going to find a girl who can play that main part. But Friedkin, he did a nationwide search all over the country. He saw probably thousands of tapes of girls. Who knows?
Rephrase that, please.
Thousands of tapes of child actors.
Audition tapes of child actors.
Yes, that's what you know what I mean. And he couldn't find the part. Eventually, they tried getting older girls who were like 16, who looked kind of younger, who looked prepubescent almost. But they weren't working either. And then one day, he's at the end of his rope. One day, he gets a call from his secretary. It says, "There's an Eleanor Blair here, and to see you. She doesn't have an appointment, but she brought her daughter." Blah blah blah. And Friedkin says, "Okay, let him in." And they go in, and he sees this little girl. And, she's like, and he describes her in the book as like she was cute, but not like attractive, like pretty. She was like adorable. She was like the perfect 12-year-old girl.
She was sweet looking, innocent.
And then he started talking to her. and he asked her, "Do you know what this book is about? You know what this is about?" "Well, it's about a girl who gets possessed by a demon, and then she does really bad things." And Friedkin says, "Well, what bad things does she do?" "Well, she blasphemies, and she hits her mother, and she masturbates with a cross or the crucifix." And then William Friedkin just looks at the mother, who's there the whole time. She's in the room, but she's
Sitting
like
and nodding.
she's standing there thinking, "Yeah, I know," like without her face, she's saying, "Yep, I know, that's my daughter."
That's why I brought her here.
And then he looks back at the little girl, and he says, "Do you know what that means to masturbate?" "Well, sure. It's like jerking off, isn't it?" He's taken aback by this, and he asks
Understandably.
her, and he continues with another probe. "Have you ever done that?" And she says, "Well, sure, haven't you?" And as he says that in the book, at that moment, I had found my girl.
the actress for the film.
Yep.
It's quite the anecdote.
That is quite an amazing
quite the
anecdote about a little girl who is clearly special. Linda Blair, we love you. She was in the sequels.
Gave us a film that we all enjoy.
She was in the... Obviously, she had a rougher... As an adult, she had a bit of problem with the drug addiction and stuff like that. But I take that up more with just her taking other roles and parts in movies that she shouldn't have, and other people abusing her in ways that they shouldn't have, just psychologically and stuff like that. And but yeah, so she was like, you watch behind the scenes footage of them making this movie, and she's saying this shit on camera. "Your mother sucks cocks in hell," and obviously that's not her voice,
right?
But she's still saying the lines.
She's delivering the line for context.
But then the moment the cameras roll off, she starts giggling and laughing, and it's just like she's taking it all in such a good
kid.
She's so okay with all of it. It's amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah, that's a very specific.
Linda Blair must be in her 40s now, something like that.
Psychological state.
Maybe older than that.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's wonderful. God bless you, Linda Blair. Even though you were in those terrible, terrible sequels. Exorcist 2 is a terrible movie.
Honestly did not know there were...
Oh, there's like 3 or 4 Exorcist movies.
The Exorcist.
Oh god, the second one's so bad. It's so boring. It's directed by John Boorman. It's such a shame. A good director making a bad movie. He directed Point Blank with Lee Marvin, and
okay,
he's made some good movies, John Boorman. But Friedkin himself said that he was offered the thing, but he turned it down, obviously, because there's nothing you can do with the material. It's done. There's no need for a sequel. The story was told. There's no way to continue it. And he says in interviews, "I've never seen these pieces of shit movies. I refuse to watch this crap."
Continuations.
Yeah. Friedkin's an interesting man to listen to talk. You know he's from Chicago, right?
I did not.
You didn't know that?
No, I did not.
Well, let me take out the book. Let me bust the book out here.
Bust the book out.
Because the first chapter is literally called Chicago. It just illustrates his life in Chicago before he moved to Hollywood.
Born and raised.
Born and raised, pretty much in Chicago. Yeah.
Chicago, or Naperville?
No,
he says
he says specific addresses of places.
Okay.
Like he lived up north in Argyle, which used to be like the Ukrainian Jewish, where all the Jews lived. I love the story of how he got his job, his first real job, because he didn't go to college. After high school, he just started going looking for work, and he looked in the Sun Times, and he saw a want ad for Sun Times for kids who were for young men, opportunities for young men in this field, blah blah blah. And he goes to the address, and he goes to a guy at the front desk or at the office, and he says, I'm here for the job opportunity, the job opening. Ow. And the guy talks to him for a little while, and they have a little discussion, and he says, "Okay, you're hired. You start working on Monday." But then he tells the kid, so before Friedkin leaves, he says, "So are you stupid or something, kid?
Oh.
Are you an idiot or something?" And Friedkin's like, "Well, why?" The guy says, "Can I see that piece of paper from the newspaper?" And he looks at it and says, "Look at that address. This is 448 North Michigan. The address on here is 441 North Michigan. This is for the Sun Times. You're at the Tribune."
Oh, hilarious!
You're at the Chicago Tribune.
Wrong
kid.
paper.
Wrong paper. Obviously, William Friedkin was so just. He thought, "Oh fuck me." But the guy said, "Don't worry, you still got a job. Just
that doesn't reflect well." But yeah, I guess if you get the
you
work.
still got the job at a paper that wasn't even hiring."
That's funny.
Which just goes to show, right? But he describes in the book actual places.
Some Chicago experiences that we can verify.
See, the Hebrew school was called Agudas Hakim. It was in uptown Chicago near Argyle Street, a few blocks north of our apartment. Argyle was the Jewish neighborhood with kosher butcher. There was a part he names. A handful of films have terrified me. Just films that he thinks are great: Psycho, Diabolique, Alien, Jaws, Seven, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Okay.
Some good ones to reference.
Those are some good ones.
You can see some influence there, I suppose, if you're looking for it.
My real enemy wasn't the Germans or the Japanese, but Miss Sullivan, the school principal. Yeah, he's old. He was around when World War II was happening. I was 8 years old in 1943.
That's surprising.
He's 84, I think.
Really?
He's old.
Hanging in there.
He's hanging in there, which is, let's see, my formal education ended in 1953. I graduated from Senn High School on the north side. He mentions, like, specific, like, restaurants.
Does some name dropping.
He does quite a bit of name dropping here.
Well, at this point, he would have been pretty close, or at least going to school pretty close to the Uptown Theater while it was still running.
Yeah, he might have mentioned it, actually.
Wouldn't be surprised if he mentions that. A nice old Balaban and Cats.
Oh, yeah, I was going to see.
Palace.
All I need to achieve... Wait, let me read the beginning from this. Let's see. I didn't have a promising future. I didn't go to college. It's a miracle I didn't wind up in jail in the streets, but Chicago gave me a value system and a work ethic. The people I met, the friends I made, were basically blue-collar and without pretense.
Good to hear.
Marcel Proust dipped a little sweet cake into a cup of tea, and the scent as it approached his nostrils brought a rush of memories of his childhood in a French provincial town. All I need to achieve that experience is a slice of deep dish pizza from Pizzeria Uno on Rush Street.
Yeah.
Or a Brautwurst on Rye from the grill at Berghoff's restaurant.
There's a name
on
drop.
Adams near the Art Institute. Or a French dip sandwich from a dive called Mr. Beef on North State Street. It was on the south side that I later heard Muddy Waters in a club called the Checkerboard Lounge, and the Miles Davis Sextet with John Coltrane, Bill Evans, Cannonball Adderley, Philly Joe Jones, and Paul Chambers playing on the top of the bar at the Sutherland Hotel on 47th Street and South Parkway. I actually want to go to these places just to see if they're still around.
Most of them, from at least the first three.
Let's go to the Mr. Beef on North State Street.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one, but Berghoff is obviously.
Mr. Beef is still around.
Yeah,
there's a Mr. Beef near where I live.
Yeah, chain. I'm not sure the one he's talking about. But yeah, the Berghoff is definitely still around.
Let's go to the Pizzeria Uno on Rush Street.
Uno is still around.
On Rush Street.
Mm-hmm.
You've been to that one specifically?
I have been to that specifically.
You've had pizza there? You've
Yes.
had pizza at the same place William Friedkin got
I'm
pizza.
well on track then.
Wow, you were pretty much there.
And as long as you and I both make a masterpiece film, the quality of Jaws, within the next 12 months, we'll be on par to match the age.
What? No, when Spielberg made Jaws, he was like 28.
24.
No, he wasn't.
Pretty sure he's 24.
No, he
I
wasn't.
remember reading Carl Gottlieb's book. And
that's
he started
mathematically
that film
unsound.
24.
He was born in 1946.
To Google.
I think he was born in 1946.
To Google.
Jaws came out in 1970. What?
To Google. How old was Spielberg?
Just look up his age. Just look up Wikipedia. Go on Wikipedia.
Well, I'm not saying when it was released. I'm saying when it was filmed because it was like a 3-year filming process.
Okay, so it was filmed. Let's think about that mathematically. Just look at what age he was born. All right, Just see where he was. What year was he born?
26. He was 26 when they made Jaws.
We got 3 years.
Okay, we got 3 years. That's better.
We can do that.
That's better.
Shit, fuck.
26 is
26?
a little less daunting.
Make an impressive master. Well, we've got 2 years until.
Right, 2 years.
I've
to
got
start.
2 years before we can make Citizen Kane.
Oh, you really?
Because he was 25.
Shit. I've got 2 years and
George Lucas was
9
20
days.
what 8 when he made American Graffiti.
Mm-hmm. That's some more time. It's always nice to measure.
He was in his
yourself
early.
up against other people.
He was in his early 30s when he was probably 30 something when he made Star Wars. We can do that. We can so do that.
30s is fine. We can do 30s.
We've got benchmarks. We've got to make.
We've got
Citizen Kane in 2 years, Jaws in 3, and then in 5 years we got to make Star Wars.
So we've got our 5-year plan ahead of us.
We are more prepared than the Nazis.
Our 5-year plan.
We have the 5-year plan.
All right, we're in the. This is the denouement at this point, right? They've already.
Everyone died. We completely missed it.
Expelled.
We completely missed the. They died.
Yeah, they're dead. Priests are dead, but the demon's expelled.
Yeah. Or is it?
Dun dun
Dun,
dun.
dun. Should I raise the volume a little bit?
Yeah,
Or?
bring it up. There's this guy standing at the gate, for those of you who are following along.
Another priest.
Weirdly, that dun 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 made me think of the organ players for like the old silent movies. Strangely, there's a theater organ player association. Actually, right around here in the building in Milwaukee.
Oh wow!
So if you're ever looking for a professional union theater organ player
here's
in
the
the year
thing.
2017,
When I finish, I've got to finish that script as soon
you know
as
where to
possible
go
for the theater movie.
for the patio theater movie.
We got to make that. That's
Yeah.
something we can do. I think.
Bring somebody in for that.
Yeah, we got to do that. I just got to keep typing.
Do you have a premise already?
Well, yeah, I know what the. Yeah, no, I've got
You know what
premise.
the
I've
movie
got
is?
scenes. I've got.
You just got to write the damn thing.
I've got to write. I've
In
been writing. I haven't
In
finished.
the words of George Lucas,
Just
this
gotta
all
write-
looks great.
I just got to
Just
write.
got to write the damn thing.
I'm very much like George in many ways. He's an idol of mine.
Sometimes I forget to say cut, so just go and tap me, and I'll remember.
Yep. Yeah, but actually, I read this on Vulture. They released a list of the top 100 screenwriters of all time, and George Lucas was at number 16. He was above Stanley Kubrick.
That's high praise.
It was high praise.
Did Kubrick write a lot of his movies though?
Yeah,
He
was co-wrote.
primarily director.
Co-wrote. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's besides the point. The point is that I gave it to Tommy, and that list pissed him off so much because so many. And he pointed out a lot of great writers aren't even on this list. You know, and he mentioned some names, and he mentioned Whit Stillman. Whit fucking Stillman isn't on this list, and I agree with him.
This is garbage.
And then I told him, Tommy, I'm just as pissed off as you are. I think
Bad list.
George Lucas should be higher up on this list. And he said, you know what? I agree with you.
Right. You're both right.
We were both right. It was a bad list. It was based off of people who were real screenwriters in the industry. They were voting on their favorite screenwriters. So clearly, all we've learned is that people who work in Hollywood have bad
Are
taste.
uneducated.
They have
I
bad.
mean, I'm uneducated, so
They
I
have,
can't
no,
really
we
talk
have,
very much.
but you have a correct edge.
But I have you.
You have me. You have me.
I have you to force me to watch enough movies for me to feel more literate.
You've seen The Exorcist. You've pretty much seen.
That's it. That's all
You don't need to see.
Those
You
are-
don't need to
those-
watch.
those
You don't
are the
need to see
movies.
Citizen Kane.
I've seen the movies.
It's that Kane from Citizen Kane. Wait a second. There's no Kane in Citizen
Citizen
Kane.
Kane.
There might actually be a cane in that movie, though. Someone at some point might use a cane to walk, but I don't recall. There's Lee J. Cobb again.
Welcome back.
Yeah, he's great.
No more Max von Sydow, though.
Do you remember him in
He's
the?
dead,
Yeah, they're
dead,
both
dead,
dead.
dead,
Do you
dead.
remember him in the 12 Angry Men?
No.
He's one of the jury members in 12
I
Angry
assumed. But
Men.
no, I don't
Have you seen that
remember.
movie?
A long time ago.
Actually, speaking of 12 Angry Men, William Friedkin would go on a couple decades later to direct his own TV version of 12 Angry Men, starring
A TV version?
yeah, like a TV like HBO or
TV
something
movie?
yeah.
Sure, okay.
Yeah, and it starred none other than Jack Lemmon. Jack Lemmon, who was in such great that look on your face. Jack Lemmon, who was in such great classics as The Apartment and Some Like It Hot
Some Like It Hot.
And-
There's a movie I've heard of.
and Tuesdays with Maury.
Mm-hmm.
He played Maury.
Figures.
Good Lord!
I figured
Isaac.
that there's probably a character named Mari in there somewhere.
So we're gonna watch.
It would be that guy.
We're gonna watch The Apartment at some point.
The Apartment. That's the one you're picking out of those three?
No, I mean you and I have just got to watch that
Okay.
because you haven't seen it clearly,
I have not. The only one of those I've seen is Some Like It Hot.
which is funny. I like that movie.
It's a fun movie.
They're
It's
both
a
directed
fun
by
flick.
and written by Billy Wilder.
Part of that was filmed on Coronado, right? Is she there? Did she leave?
Yeah, where did your wife go?
She might be I don't know. She's around. Oh, we're into the credits.
Oh yeah, she's there. She's just asleep.
She's asleep. Wow, that's impressive. Good for her.
William Peter Blatty.
William Peter Blatty, based on his novel.
Yeah, good for him. So yeah, we're pretty much at
This seems to be a bit of a theme too. This the simple
Alan
text
Burstyn, Chris
like-
McNeil.
in red.
Yeah, Father Marin. Oh, God, everyone does a good job in this movie. This is really. If I were to give you Lee J. Cobb, love him. My top 5 probably favorite horror films. This is definitely one of them. This Halloween,
Mm-hmm. I love those two.
Psycho, Alien, and Jaws probably are my top 5.
I'm not going to count Jaws, but
I know you wouldn't, but every time I see it, I think this is.
Not
Let me
gonna
put it like
count.
this.
It's a monster movie.
I count it because I'm afraid to go into the water because of it.
fair enough. Yeah, every year.
I count it just for that reason.
Every year they do a water screening.
And
in the lake.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
You go out in like the floaties, and they have the floating screen and screen it.
And if I didn't,
that sounds like a hell of an experience.
And if I couldn't count it, if I had to take it off,
yeah,
and
take
put
it
something
off,
else,
something else in there.
I'd probably put. I guess The Thing.
Okay, fair enough.
So that's 2 Carpenter films that make it on that
Yeah.
list.
Good job, Carpenter.
Okay, he's
a
great.
good director.
He's great. His work in the 80s is kind of unmatched, except for Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan is the one director who had a better decade than John Carpenter.
To reflect back on something.
William Friedkin, on the other hand, did not have a good decade in the 80s.
Ouch.
A lot of duds in that decade.
Ouch.
Some of them are good movies, but they did not make money.
Okay. Yeah. See, you got to make money, as he says
You
himself.
got to make money,
As he says himself.
And he stops making money after.
You got to keep making
This is
money.
pretty much. This is his last big success. This movie.
It's the last.
Although his real masterpiece
rake
was
him
the
in.
next film he made, which was Sorcerer. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't.
That's
seen
I remember the first time I watched it, I thought this is the most intense shit I've ever seen. I love it. You'll love it.
Give me a premise.
Basically, 4 men end up in like a South American town. They all do illegal shit, and they end up running away and fleeing to a South American town. And then they're hired by the local oil company to take this dynamite that they're going to use to stop these fires, these oil fires. But it's like dynamite that it could explode at any second. But these men are so desperate they've got nothing to lose that they're the only ones willing to do it. So they take 2 trucks through the jungle and transport this dynamite.
Sounds almost as intense.
It's a great movie. It's a remake of a movie.
Bus speed movie that you and I were talking about.
Yes. How much time do we have left here?
Not much.
We have a minute and a half left. Do you have anything? You have any parting words for the audience?
Well, I was going to reflect briefly on what I was saying earlier with the fact that like a lot of these movies are about like the fear of children.
Yeah.
Good recommendation for if you care about that theme. It's not necessarily a super great movie because it's like spoof horror, which is a hard genre to do. But Netflix is like A Little Evil has a good premise in terms of like these movies are essentially about being afraid of becoming a parent, where he's like in a custody battle with the devil for control of his stepchild, which is an interesting concept. So, not a great movie necessarily, but good food for thought on that topic.
I guess if I have to make a movie about, if I had to recommend a movie about a kid who's demonic or some demon-related movie, Village of the Damned, I guess, the John Carpenter film, which is not even a great movie, but I'll recommend it. It's essentially like a rip-off of Children of the Corn, almost.
Yeah.
But it ends with a barn full of kids getting blown up.
And that's a great way to end this episode.
Well, thank you for Tommy Mitchell for listening.
Yeah, thank you, Tommy Mitchell.
Anyone else?
Our loyal audience.
Anyone else who's done it.
Anyone who happens to be in the room while Tommy Mitchell is doing his dishes.
We'll see you next week. We don't know what we're going to do next, but
We'll
we'll
see you
find
next week.
I'm Fabricio Barral. This is Isaac Carlson.
Isaac Carlson.
And this has been Background Noise.
Background Noise.
Good night.